embellishing these stories. Like when he talks about the fact that
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, oh, oh yeah, 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 yeah. No, we don't need your accolades. Hopping over barricades. Bonus, we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. Daddy hear me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. I know we gon' elevate. Brother gonna rise, no hesitation. Put it on my time, been hella patient. Spitting these rhymes in hella basements. Play major stages, still pay fun. Ain't made many wages, still I can't run. I'm a slave to the cadence, still ain't done. Everything to the patrons, till the day's won. Boy, I'm not finished, I know I got some critics. I know they're really cynics, but guy, I got no limits. I want a house of business, even if I don't get it. Then I pray these lyrics, elevate your spirit. And if I don't live it, after years and minutes of avoiding gimmicks, I'm pouring out my heart. That I know my rhythms didn't reach the millions, but I praise my Lord that I could be a part. I ain't did this for no trophies, I ain't did this for no list. I did it for the kid who's contemplating taking place to risk it, man. I pray that you resist. Oh, you were made for more than this. You can make it through the storm. Just turn to him and don't you quit. Boy, I'm all in. Check my wrist. You see the kid be saucing, no coffin. No, we don't die. We multiplying often. My God sends more of us. That power lasts like Austin. Not lost in them accolades. My focus on the cross. We don't need your accolades. Hopping over barricades. Notice we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. Hungry with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. God, he hear me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. We don't need your accolades. Hopping over barricades. Bonus, we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. Hungry with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. God, he hear me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. Elevate, elevate. Woo!
Lately I've been feeling kinda low, praying to the Father that I know, got me so that I can take your hand, so we can keep on praising, yeah I will, I might go and cut the deal, cut it, we gon' have to elevate, knew the Father had me covered after I saw 7 straight, pick myself up out the mud and I got straight back to the work, I ain't dancing with the devil, that mean I put heaven first, got my brothers on my back, that mean I love the city first. Ain't no business about to come in on my soul. Ooh, I got self-control. Ooh, Shorty tried to ask you for that. Oh, I let it go. It's a sermon. Had to tell my youngest you don't need the serpent. If God said it, little homie, that's your purpose. You were born to be a bitch, you better learn it. You better go out there and
we don't need your accolades. Hopping over barricades. Notice we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. Hungry with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. God, he hear me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. We don't need your accolades. Hopping over barricades. Notice we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. Hungry with the fadeaway. Shot too witty when I spray. God, he hear me when I pray. I know we gon' elevate. Elevate, elevate.
hello, are we good? Are we Gucci? Are we Gucci? Are we motherfucking good? Hello, hi everybody. Hope you guys are having an amazing day or evening, whatever the hell it is you are doing. Dude, I did not intend to duo stream, so that's kind of thrown me off. Can I say a massive thank you to the people on Twitch who we now have a hype train going, so thank you guys so much for that. Let's just get through what we've got on the screen right now. Charbenny, thank you so much for resubscribing with Prime for 10 months in a row, 11 months in total. I really appreciate it. Ominous20, thank you so much for resubscribing at tier 1 for 2 months in a row. I really appreciate that. We got Shrinking Kirsty, who has resubscribed with Prime for 8 months. Oh my God, we're so close to having a baby, me and you. Thank you so much. And we also have Katie Barra, who has used 100 bits. Thank you so much for giving me 100 biddies on these big juicy titties. Right, if you guys don't know, I tend to stream on Twitch. I stream on Twitch 2 nights a week, and I switched out tonight's live stream and decided that I was going to do it on YouTube instead of Twitch because this is more of a YouTube story. However, I didn't realize that I was duo streaming, and I'm here now. So it seems as if I'm probably going to have to delete one of the streams, and it's most likely going to be YouTube stream. So if you're watching this live on YouTube, get into it, enjoy it. Make sure that you're here for the duration because I will probably have to privatize this one as I'm duo streaming. So it's going to go over to Twitch. Right, okay. With that being clear, I just wanted to say hello to everybody. Hello to the moderators as well. Loving it. Look, thank you so much. I got this wig today. It's a synthetic wig from Sleek, you know, like the makeup brand. They're doing wigs and stuff, honey. I didn't even know about that. So I picked it up. My cousin, who's a hairdresser, she cut some layers into it, and I'm kind of digging the look, to be honest. It reminds me of like 2016 Petty Paige, if that makes any sense, when I used to rock like the pink hair all the time. But yeah, I really like it. I think it's cute. It's just, I'm trying to do this thing where I leave my good wigs for like my personal use, and then I have synthetic wigs for filming. I want to have like 2 distinct versions of myself so that like one is my uniform and the other one isn't, if that makes any sense. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do a Rich Lux, bitch. Didn't she make a public accusation? We're going to get into what today is all about, okay? So, first and foremost, let's just address a tiny piece of drama in regards to myself before I go any further, because I'm not gonna harp on it. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but it is what it is, right? So one of my researchers reached out to me and told me that Nicholas Diorio had tweeted about me after I blocked him. Now, let me make this clear. I've said this several times on live streams in Twitch, right? That Nicholas Diorio has this thing where he blocks and blocks me and then tweets at me, follows me, blocks and blocks me. He is more bipolar than myself right now. He's so fucking bipolar. Whilst I can like his content and like the content creator that he is and the work it is that he does, as a person, I dislike him very much. It has nothing to do with you allegedly being a racist. I never said that. I don't know why you're putting that into the air or into the stratosphere. I have no idea what the fuck you are talking about. You said, I regret the day that fucking I let Augie not glass her. Girl, it's giving very much T-channel. Grow up, move on, okay? So I've addressed that. That's what you wanted. You said I was going to vaguely address it. No, I'm literally directly speaking to you head on. You're weird. I don't want any time to do with that. Leave me alone, right? That's why I asked, why is you here? Because for somebody who blocks and blocks, likes and likes, you seem to follow me everywhere I go. Why is you here? Leave me alone. Go do you. The end, right? Now that I have covered Nicholas Diorio, Cartman, Jesus Christ, the Cartman of the commentary community, let's get into today's story. So, with that being said, hello. Welcome to today's stream. We are going to be talking about Illuminati. Now, originally, I was going to be doing an Illuminati video, hence why this thumbnail is so rough, because I was like doing a rough draft of how I wanted the thumbnail to look. But originally, I was going to be doing an Illuminati video, and I was a little bit concerned with what was going on within the community because so many people were talking about her. So there was a situation that took place on social media. The hellscape where everything seems to go down for some bizarre reason is what do you call it? I was gonna say Twitch. Dude, I'm stoned. Twitter. So on Twitter, all of this went down. There was Legal Eagle as well as Illuminati, and there was a back and forth. Illuminati accused him of stealing an editing style, and just the whole thing was a shit show. I have watched some videos to do with it. I was really surprised how far back the law with Illuminati actually goes. Apparently, she was involved with Tommy C, who is another content creator here on the platform. She had some kind of situation with her and Tipster, which was quite interesting as well. Thank you so much for the 100 biddies on my titties. I will get back to all of the likes and follows and all that kind of stuff after. So with that being said, there was a video that was done by a content creator called Tom Dark, who I do believe is Turkey Tom, and he did the most comprehensive rundown as to what has taken place. So we'll go and have a look at this video so that everybody can kind of get caught up with the whole story. There's no point in me explaining it if somebody else is going to do a much better job than me. So let's get into what Tom Dark has to say. Do you like my headphones? My subscribers on Twitch bought these. They're really fucking cute. Okay, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has once again come to go after a commentary YouTuber. Her name is Illuminati, and she managed to get herself into some trouble recently, which all started with an accusation against another YouTuber of plagiarism, and has now evolved into a full-on wave of hatred against her content and against her as a person. So let's talk about it. Alrighty, so who is Illuminati? Well, she's a commentary channel that leans more in the documentary type of channel direction, right? Sort of what I do on my main channel, Turkey Tom, but she uploads a lot, as in like every other day, basically. She's posting a 30-minute expose video, whatever, right? She also seems to have a sort of left-wing slant to her channel, making videos about like the right wing or whatever. Now, I will say I find something very off-putting right off the bat about her content, which is the way she introduces her videos.
It's time once again to stop pyramid schemes, scams, and other forms of corruption.
Now, I think sometimes it's a good idea to make videos for some kind of social good, like exposing an evil person or bringing to light some information that is in the public's interest to know. Those are good things. But this channel does not do that. This channel makes entertainment about stuff that they themselves did not expose. It's just regurgitating exposés other people have done in articles and stuff like that. Now, there's nothing really wrong with that. I mean, it's entertainment at the end of the day. What I do is entertainment. In fact, I do what Blair does on my channel, basically, right? It's that same kind of content repeatedly. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with making videos about other people's reporting and putting together a story. But
I don't know. Here's the thing is that Tom Dark is seeming to like make this point when it comes to Illuminati and the way that she addresses her audience as she comes in as like, you know, being like, you know, faux magnitude, if you will. But I don't think that's the case. I personally just, from what I remember of Illuminati before she became quote unquote mainstream, is that Illuminati literally primarily dealt with multi-level marketing stuff. It was a part of the multi-level marketing community, as was another content creator called Cruel World Happy Mind, which we will get into a little bit later.
Blair's channel is not doing investigative journalism, and I don't like that introduction because it frames the videos as a much grander thing in scale than they actually are, right? End of the day, they're dumb TMZ type entertainment. They're not true documentaries. They're not true investigative journalism, right? It's just not that. It's not doing any kind
Thank you so much, Janelle. Welcome to the Potty Mouths. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
of social good. It's making videos that are entertaining to make money, and that's fine. I don't like her framing, right? And as I said, she uploads a ton of videos. She's extremely prolific. Video basically every day with highly edited transitions and stuff like that, which is insane output. And the way she accomplishes this is with a team of people. A team of editors and researchers and writers who help her out with content. Now,
sorry, I just saw a comment by Izzy. Izzy just says, y'all are acting like she didn't apologize or hold herself accountable or for what she did, even though she repeatedly did. We're going to get into all of that a little bit later because a lot of people on Twitter seem to have had a little bit of anxiety, upset, I guess, anxiety, animosity towards what it is that I said, which was essentially, when it came to the Legal Eagle thing, she made a separate apology from her apology video. So it feels very good, once again, to be fucking vindicated because y'all are motherfucking stupid out here, right? But what I said online, right, because she had already apologized to legal... Listen, we'll get into it later.
Once again, I'm not criticizing her for this. I mean, if I did, I'd be a massive hypocrite because I pay people to help me out with my channels too. But this team she has is a very important thing to the story at hand. And I think to understand what went down here, this content farm team is integral to understanding it because Blair heavily relies on these people to get her content out. She could never have the output she has without having all these people, right? In fact, they basically built her channel. So on April 20th, Illuminati posted a Twitter thread accusing another channel of plagiarism. Not at Legal Eagle editors broaching my editors to take my video style, and when they didn't give up the info, they literally copied it. And by the way, I have the messages from my editors and found an email from them too. Just change the color from purple to blue, huh? Interesting. So I went through my emails and found this, just outright saying, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but if you could make it easier for me, I'd appreciate it. Also went to my Discord server to try and get more to copy the style. And here attached, we have a screenshot where someone who edits for this Legal Eagle channel is asking if they can speak to the editing team to figure out how they did a specific effect. And following this, she shows one example from one of her videos, and then one from a Legal Eagle video, which shows a very similar effect being used, right? She ends this thread by saying, and to be honest, I wouldn't have believed any of this was trying to replicate my videos videos, if not for the email and Discord stuff that was done preemptively to their video coming out. Like, talk about, can I copy your homework? Yeah, but just make it a little different. Shaking my head. Now, when I saw this thread, I immediately thought it was dumb for a few reasons. Firstly, the messages she sent from her Discord looked like someone just asking to speak to the editing team to get some pointers, not trying to steal her editors or anything like that. There's a level of malice being ascribed here that I just personally don't see. Beyond that, the editing techniques
Okay, so when it comes to Illuminati and this legal eagle situation, I do believe that it is just a simple fact of Illuminati jumping the gun and making an assumption based on limited information, right? She flew off the handle, thought that somebody was trying to steal her whole groove, but the reality is, as with the rest of the commentary community, I pretty much agree with them. I'm in solidarity, at least with this point, that it is a case of Illuminati was basically making a mountain out of a molehill. Editing styles aren't just for one person. I sometimes watch content creators like Jay Aubrey, who, by the way, has like the kind of content that literally turns me on. His video editing style is amazing. Another content creator that I enjoy for their video editing style, look at me saying nice things about you, Nicholas Diorio, is Nicholas Diorio. He has a fantastic editing style. I like the way that he produces content. And sometimes when I'm watching content creators like that, who do amazing quality editing, I'll look at it and think, how can I do that? How can I recreate that? That's just a part of the gig, you know, as an editor. If you edit your own content or if you edit for other people, you look at other things and you get inspired. Nothing is totally original. So I do believe, like, with the rest of the commentary community, that she just made a mountain out of a molehill and ended up looking stupid in the process. But what that did is opened up a whole window for loads of different people to become involved. So let's just continue.
Themselves are both extremely common. To me, they're some of the most commonly used effects in all of YouTube, really. I mean, go to any documentary, true crime, long-form commentary video, and unless it's a Wendigoon video where he just shows his face the entire time, you're bound to see the same editing techniques employed as on Blair's video, right? And it's not like she's the first person to do this. I've been seeing these editing techniques for 5-6 years now. So the whole call-out is a very silly issue to me, and I saw it as a really dumb thing to even be upset at, honestly. Even when people have directly copied, and I'm doing air quotes behind the microphone right now, but even when people have directly copied my own editing style, I don't get mad because it's editing. At the end of the day, it's already just throwing a bunch of media together anyway to make something new. So I find it flattering when someone just takes inspiration from my editing or thumbnails or whatever else.
Okay, so we got Janelle, who's just said, I think she posted because she got caught and she's getting roasted. Not sure she's being fully retrospective. Here's the thing when it comes to apologies, and this is what I had to say on Twitter, but I guess I didn't say it as eloquently as I should, is that when it comes to apologies, people seem to believe that apologies should be on your time frame, right? That, like, when something bad happens, somebody should immediately work out that something bad happens and then, you know, apologize immediately straight away. When the reality is that we're all human beings who, like, fuck up, do bad things, give apologies, don't give apologies, and that's just the world that we live in. For instance, like, if I was working, okay, let me pose this to you. So your boss comes in, they are in a foul mood. They are mean, rude, short-tempered, and disrespectful to you, right? The next day they come into work, they're completely fine because they're not in a foul mood. Now, 9 times out of 10, if you don't have a, you know, amazing boss by today's standards, they won't apologize for their behavior the previous day. The world doesn't hand out apologies. This is just the facts. The world doesn't hand, like, the world isn't, like, you are not entitled to an apology. Nobody is entitled to an apology. Nobody's entitled to the perfect apology. You just have to take what it is that you're given. And as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to Illuminaughti, she did eventually do an apology. Let me see if I can bring that up on my screen real quick. She did eventually do an apology publicly to Legal Eagle, even though she had privately apologized. So this is a message that she sent in the DMs on April the 21st. It says, I wanted to reach out to apologize for my tweets yesterday. I was quick to protect my editors when they brought this information to me and I overreacted. I have deleted the tweets. Then underneath it says, understood, thanks for the apology and thanks for deleting. And she hearted that message, right? A little bit above it, she writes, to @Legal Eagle. Even though I have apologized privately, I would like to do so now publicly. I am not sorry for making editing styling claims that were inaccurate. Sorry, I am sorry for making editing styling claims that were inaccurate. I jumped the gun, thought hastily, and should have messaged you privately to hash things out, and I am sorry. Right? So people were saying that this was not a good enough apology, even though, as you can see, Legal Eagle accepts said apology, regardless of how it is that the community at large feel about the apology, that it should have been handled better. The person that the apology was actually for, they accepted the apology. So we now go to the frigging quote tweets, and literally almost everybody is like, oh my God, you didn't apologize properly. In the words of Dave Chappelle, you lying little. People dunking on this like, yeah, but what about all the other shit? Oh, that person has the same opinion as me. Somebody else says, called it. Nah, Turkey Tom makes a video and you instantly start apologizing. Like, people are just taking such a bad faith stance with this, when the reality is that whilst there is more to this story, which we will discuss as we continue watching Turkey Tom's videos, the reality is that this Legal Eagle situation is entirely separate from the conversations that are happening now. The conversations that are currently happening to do with Illuminaughti is that she is a bad boss, that she is not a very nice person, that she can be mean, that she shouts at her colleagues. Some people are even calling it straight up abuse, which just is completely wild to me, because it's like, just because somebody's a bad person doesn't mean, like, okay, let's just go with the narrative that Illuminaughti is a bad person. Like, she's just horrible. Okay, she doesn't have to be nice for us, right? There are numerous people in the world who aren't nice. And this is where I come to like that conversation that I have quite frequently on Twitch. Once again, if you don't follow me on Twitch, make sure you do. It is the same name. It is at PaigeChristieUK. But this conversation that I have on Twitch about the just world fallacy, the idea that the world, like, good things happen for good people and that bad things happen for bad people, when the reality of the world is that bad people are constantly being rewarded for bad things. Constantly. And that's just the way of the world, and we have to just accept that that is the way of the world. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just kind of like, okay, so if the worst thing that is to come out of this whole situation is that Illuminaughti, Blair, the person, is a terrible individual, then I'm just like, so what? There are so many other terrible people. Is she really harming people? No. Therefore, nothing burger, to me at least. But yeah, so let's continue with the Turkey Tom video. Hold on, we got Lawrence here who just said the legal thing was just the spark that started the wildfire, for sure, because after this situation ended privately, where she said, you know, I'd spoken to him privately, that is it, that's the end, people were still calling for a public apology, even though Legal Eagle accepted the apology. It's only today that she's had to go and publicly apologize to appease the masses. It's actually your apology. That wasn't for Legal Eagle. And if you think that that's for Legal Eagle, you are sadly out of your mind. That was for you. But the problem is with public apologies is that when people make it, it's still never good enough, which then doesn't provide any incentive for anybody to ever apologize for anything ever. Because if you're going to apologize and it will never be good enough, it will be hyper scrutinized, it will be picked apart, people will say that you didn't apologize good enough, then what is the point in apologizing? We sit there and we get upset, especially us oldies of like YouTube and stuff like that. We sit there and say, how are these TikTok influencers never accountable for what it is that they're doing? Because these younger generations, these Gen Zs, right? They have seen us go through the cancel culture era of 2017 to 2019, and they're realizing that there is literally nothing that you can do to make things better, so you are better off doing nothing. That's why nobody over in that age demographic ever gets held accountable, because we have used cancel culture so much to the point that you can never actually get anything right. So then what is the fucking point? And that's kind of the point it is that I was making online. But apparently people were upset. Anyway, let's move on.
And on top of that, my editing style is not complete.
We got $5 from Jessica Pizzle. She says, same. The abuse stuff is basically meme boss. People try to cancel Mr. Beast for that. Exactly. And that's the other thing is that, like, so what? She's a meme boss. You can go and seek employment elsewhere. It's literally that simple. Like, as far as I'm concerned, there's mean bosses everywhere. I've been underneath a mean boss. I'm sure because I've managed stores in the past. One of my old jobs before becoming a YouTuber was a store manager. I'm sure that I have staff who would probably describe me as a mean boss for, not giving allocated times out and stuff like that. Do you get what I mean? There's certain things it is that I did that were probably not perfect as a boss, but that's just life. Like, literally for me, this whole thing is just like, get over it. The community needs to get over it.
Completely unique. It's aesthetics that are informed by other people's videos that I watched because I like their videos, so I take their aesthetics, I combine it into my own thing, and, that's quote-unquote my editing style, but it's not really. It's just a bunch of influences and inspiration I took. I mean, to me, when I see someone replicating an effect I'm doing or something like that, it really just shows that I'm doing something right, or that the people I hire to edit my videos are doing something right, because I tried to pass off my own editing style to them. Big thanks to the Turkey team, by the way. Could not do it without you guys. Editors share ideas all the time, so it seems silly to me to try and claim, like, specific effects as well. Considering Illuminati did not even edit the videos herself, I'm surprised she caused this big of a fuss. Now, this thread was deleted after...
That is a very, very good point that I agree with Turkey Tom on. Sorry, I'm very ill right now, so if you see me, like, constantly going for lockets, that's what I'm doing. Also, there is a rule on my stream in Twitch. Again, follow me on Twitch. That if I leave the screen unannounced, it's usually because I am about to be elevated. So don't think that I've disappeared. I am still here. Sometimes I like to top up the smoke. Okay, let's go.
Everyone in the comments roasted her and basically called this a non-issue, and then Legal Eagle himself posted a Twitter thread response as well. Hey, @Illuminati, I think this is a big misunderstanding. Perhaps great minds think alike. No one on my team is trying to copy you. Without an exhaustive review of your channel, I believe we used those two styles before your channel did. We've used them for 3 to 4 years. Plus, the two styles, a pseudo paper rip and a highlight, are extremely common on YouTube. The editor you're talking about didn't even design either of those two elements. Again, we've used them for 3 to 4 years at this point. Danny is a great and thorough video editor. When he reached out via email, he was just hoping to find out what plugin your team used on a particular video, a very common practice among editors. He was not looking to copy anyone's style. Danny is also a freelancer who makes his own videos. In the Discord, the video he referenced was about being inspired by your subject matter, not your style. He's a fan of yours. The video he was referencing was a video of his own, not a Legal Eagle video. Here's the end of the Discord chat that Danny provided to me. He was trying to edit a video of his own using only DaVinci Resolve. He was just looking for some technical help, and then thanked everyone anyway. And as we can see here, the conversation between his editor, being Danny, and the mod team of the Discord was perfectly amicable. It didn't seem like he did anything wrong. If anything, the mod team was a little like, you shouldn't ask that here, but it's whatever, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. In my opinion, it just seems like kind of a nothing burger to be mad at. The guy was just asking for a little bit of technical help on, getting something done sooner. He was like, I can do it anyway, but, if you guys have some tips, I'd appreciate it, right? And Legal Eagle follows us up by saying, YouTube is great because it's collaborative and the rising tide raises all ships. True, very true, Legal Eagle. And I'm glad that you're espousing this idea because I think there's this idea to some YouTubers that if you're succeeding, then it's like at the expense of someone else, and there's this like limited market share. But there's so many people on YouTube at this point, the idea that someone else succeeding is like taking your place is really silly. I think that the better that we all do as YouTubers, the better that we all do as YouTubers, the better that everyone does, right? My team and I always try to provide original, high-quality, informative content. We try to help others when they ask for it. There aren't really any trade secrets around here. I didn't know that Danny reached out to you, but I don't fault him for doing so. If anything, I think everyone on the platform should be more open and sharing. And I basically agree with everything Legal Eagle said here, not only with these specific...
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan as well. What I will say in agreement with Turkey Tom, I'm not a big fan of like gatekeeping stuff. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing that I will do my best to gatekeep, which I've failed at numerous times, but I've definitely learnt my lesson, is whenever there is like a specific topic that I feel like I could absolutely knock out of the park, sometimes I go out of my way not to talk about that topic, so that when I do talk about that topic publicly with you guys in video format, that essentially I can be the first on the topic. I'm just going to be 100% honest. Like, sometimes I like to be one of the first people on the topic because optically that does well for you, that does well for your channel, yada yada yada, right? But in terms of like gatekeeping editing styles, gatekeeping thumbnail designs, gatekeeping all of these other things, unless it's like a replica, like when somebody is literally like cut like the face out and made it the exact same and unless it's like a direct replica, I don't think there's anything wrong with, sharing resources. You know what I mean? There's, for me at least personally. So in my humble opinion, I don't think that like editing, visual editing, graphical design, stuff like that should be gatekept. We should be helping each other out. But unfortunately, when it comes to YouTube and money, people like to keep things to themselves. And it's kind of odd to me, as well as obviously to Turkey Tom, because he's already said this, that it wasn't even her who's doing the editing. So it's like, it's not even your thing. You know what I mean? Like, if it was something that like was her thing that she took a long time to find the best way to do and blah blah blah, then at least there'd be a little bit of validity, even if there isn't any validity. But she didn't even edit it, so it's kind of like that isn't even really your thing. But anyway, let's carry on. Let me read some comments. Sorry, I'm still very, very ill. Because Ashley says, nothing else needed to be done or said. This is insane to me. She is left leaning, but some of her stuff she says, I'm like, question mark. But I think overall she's a decent human on the surface. I'm going to be honest. I only really was into Blair, aka Illuminaughti, when she was more involved in the multi-level marketing stuff. That's when I was consuming a lot more of her content. As it stands now, I don't really watch her content, so I can't really speak as to her political stance. And I'd really appreciate it only because, like, when we're talking politics, especially when we're talking Americans, Canadians, completely different government and all that kind of stuff, I would really appreciate it if we just keep the conversation more so on the situation at hand rather than, you know, politics and ideologies and all of, I don't want to go into that area because that is very messy and definitely not one that I'm well versed in, especially with my current government being Britain, like, you know, the Tories and the Labour Party. Like, I can talk about my shit, but like talking about American shit is very difficult for me, so I'd much rather we just keep like the left and the right leaning shit out of it if we can, please.
Fake refutations to the accusations that Illuminati made, but also the sentiment being expressed about how sharing is caring and it's ultimately good for the YouTube ecosystem as a whole to just share ideas and help each other out. Effective artists know this. They know that hoarding your ideas and never sharing them with anyone, never sharing your techniques is not beneficial for yourself or others. Collaboration is a great part of YouTube, and this mentality that Illuminati or Blair has is very silly and honestly self-destructive. So at this point, she kind of just looked insecure about her own very commonly used editing practices. It looked like she was just starting drama with a fellow content creator and trying to harm their reputation over a non-issue. And overall, it just felt like a big nothing burger. Well, following this, some people from my community, like Nicholas DiOrio, who was formerly friendly with Blair, began to tweet about it, basically celebrating that someone other than him was realizing this person is a bit off. Fact: Illuminati deleting her call-out post of Legal Eagle is pathetic. People should use the public channels to urge Blair to make a proper and thorough response. And then following this, Blair claimed someone was trying to hack her Google accounts and get into her
Like, what else was she supposed to do? She was really apologetic for it. Delete the post, reach out privately. Like, that is literally the only way that she was supposed to respond to that whole thing. But now we are signal boosting that individuals should create content so that we can urge her to make a more appropriate apology. I fucking can't stand the community right now. You guys are crazy. Especially like the commentary bros. You guys are acting like fucking T channels right now. Like, what the hell is that?
Stuff. Now, she did not explicitly say that this was a result of the controversy around all the Legal Eagle stuff, but there seemed to be some implication that someone was taking the drama too far, and Nick here basically accused her of lying. He said he doesn't believe that anyone's trying to hack into her accounts. I don't know what the case is here. I mean, I personally have had people try to hack into my accounts before, and it, you know, kind of made me wicked paranoid about stuff. So maybe Blair is telling the truth, but at the same time, I don't know, the timing seems a little whack, right? But then again, maybe someone really is mad.
This feels like nothing. It is. This situation here is completely nothing. That's why I was so surprised that this was a continual conversation. And I posted a message on Twitter yesterday basically saying, like, why is everyone still talking about Illuminati? Like, I thought the legal stuff was like handled and it's done. But apparently there was like loads of people who came forward. So I spent the majority of last night, because I was very ill, coughing, I could not get any sleep, having a look at all of the videos and what people had been saying, and having a look on Twitter and stuff like that, at all of the threads that were going on, and kind of got more information as to, oh, okay, there's like a long-standing issue where it seems that Illuminati seems to be the, you know, common denominator in all of these situations. So when it comes down to it, this situation was nothing, but it opened the door to a much bigger conversation. So once Turkey Tom gets past this point, we'll get into really the big crux of what's going on.
Mad at her because she was mean to Legal Eagle and there's just some nut job trying to get into her accounts, right? Who knows? And then some people start making videos about the situation, including Big Joel, who's like a leftist video essay channel that some of you may know of. Not really my cup of tea, as many of you know, but regardless of that, the video he made about Blair was like 5 minutes long and is really just a quick summary of the situation. It's not really too extreme on her, it's not too hard. It's a pretty just like bare bones explanation of what happened. He gives his opinion being like, it's not really plagiarism, it's kind of dumb to say that, and then he moves on. Now, following this, a Blair fan made a Reddit post talking about the whole thing, which is, I mean, to be honest, this post is unhinged and dumb as fuck. It's a total deflection of the drama to pretend as if she's like a good person or something, and it's just ridiculous. And Blair gave a very short response to it following this, just saying she apologized to Legal Eagle privately and that she's not sure who Big Joel is. So keep in mind as I read this, it was not written by Blair, it was not written by Illuminati, it's just some fan of hers that's a nut job that she responded to. So I just want to read it out for you guys so you can see how stupid this thing is. Open letter to Illuminati, Big Joel, and Legal Eagle. Resolve your drama privately or I'm unsubbing and unfollowing you all. It's funny when people think they have like some kind of pull over a YouTuber they don't know. It's like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna unsubscribe. I hate to break it to you, buddy, but nobody cares what you think. Nobody gives a I'm done to death with leftist YouTuber drama, to the point I almost want nothing to do with any of them anymore. It's been one hell of a stressful year without this bullshit on top of it. With the Supreme Court of the US threatening to limit abortion rights further, with anti-trans legislation becoming more hostile and being passed all over the US, and the very fabric of democracy being challenged in this country, to the point where I even wonder if there will be a fair election next year. But nah, you know what we really need right now? Left YouTubers avoiding the hard and pertinent topics, and instead accusing each other of petty hurling attacks at each other, sinking each other's fan bases at each other like they are actual fascists. Have you convinced yourself that somehow fascists or like far-right YouTubers are the only people with toxic personalities and the only people that go after each other? I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of infighting among like leftists because they're constantly trying to purity test each other and eat each other alive. It's like their favorite thing to do. Motherfuckers, I'm stressed enough as it is, and I look to you all for solidarity. I follow each of you because you have a lot to say on these issues, and it ensures
One word, parasocial. This is too parasocial for me. Like, this is a content creator. This isn't a person you know. This isn't your friend. Like, this whole post was a little too much. Reddit, chill.
me I'm not going out of my fucking mind because I'm not the only one who feels things are going fucking wrong. But of course, turbulent times like this seem to be the perfect time for speakers within the community to draw lines in the sand and measure the sizes of their egos against each other. To hell with it. I don't know what's going on with you three, and honestly, I don't give a rat's ass. How about you settle your problems like adults, privately with level heads, rather than air out your laundry in front of your already stressed fan base? Get your priorities right for the love of God, and use the effort you use into attacking each other into actually solving and discussing the issues that actually matter to us. Or I'm dropping all of you. Once again, like the delusion that anyone will even care what this random Reddit fucking person thinks, right? Some random Redditor who's making a post that got like 10 likes is delusional to the point that like if they write some letter to them, then people will be like, oh, I can't lose the subscriber. I gotta change course. And even beyond that, this post is hilarious for a few reasons. I mean, firstly, the idea that leftist YouTubers are like saving the world and they're smashing the fash. No, these people are entertainers at the end of the day. Now and then their videos may raise awareness for some issue, and there may be some good that comes from their content.
Cesora Crossing just says, wait, why is this being labeled as leftist or right wing? I'm so confused. I guess because in more recent videos to do with Illuminati, like the more recent videos it is that she's done have taken a more political stance. So I'm guessing that that's why this is all coming into it. But again, I haven't watched Illuminati properly in like several months now, so I have no idea.
But at the end of the day, these guys make videos for money, and that's why they have Patreons and make tens of thousands of dollars a month off of it. That's why they collect all the ad revenue from their videos, and then instead of solving these systemic issues they claim to care so much about, they pull a Hassan and buy a Porsche, or just hoard all their money in savings and do nothing with it. These guys are not fighting the good fight for you. They're not your parasocial, leftist, Antifa, super soldier best friend to validate your opinions. They are entertainers, and they know it too, so you should stop coping yourself into believing anything else. Sorry for the sidetrack, it's just a funny post that Nick...
Lauren just said, let's like the stream for Paige providing content while needing throat sweets. Thank you so much. I've got like a nasty bug and I'm sweating profusely. So if you see me like panting and fanning my face, like I'm very, very sick right now. But yeah, thank you. And please do make sure you like this video if you do like it. But please make sure you like this video.
Posted on Twitter that I wanted to take a look at. Gotta blackball some of these BreadTube fans, okay? Now, her replies on Twitter are basically plastered with people telling her that she needs to respond to this drama in some way and issue a public apology. Honestly, if she and Legal Eagle resolve this in private, I'm inclined to say no public apology is needed because, well, she didn't, like, you know, accuse the public of plagiarism. She accused Legal Eagle of plagiarism. Now, keep in mind the accusation was public, and if Legal Eagle feels that she should make a public statement about that as a form of her apology, then that's one thing, and I think that makes sense, but given that she deleted the thread, given that she's claiming that Legal Eagle, you know, at least a senior apology, I guess, I'm assuming that he accepted it, unless she's lying about that. If she is lying, I assume Legal Eagle will make some public statement about that. But honestly, to me, it seems like kind of a non-issue that she hasn't apologized publicly for this. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of not a big deal, in my opinion. If she apologized,
I'm very much on Turkey Tom's side with this. I don't think she needed to publicly apologize, but I feel as if the public apology that is that she did eventually give today was for you, the audience. It was for you. It was not for Legal Eagle because Legal Eagle accepted the private apology and kept it 100. So yeah.
Apologize to the people involved. I don't think there's much more you can expect. Now, I guess following this, pretty much everyone who's ever had a grievance with Blair has decided to come forward to put out a thread about her. Now, normally I kind of feel some of this may be somewhat opportunistic, you know? Anytime someone gets called out, you have like 30 other random people being like, well, they were mean to me on Discord once. This dog pile thing is kind of cringe to me. That being said, there are some worthy criticisms being made here that are directly related to the topic at hand.
Okay, so now we're going to get into all of the people. Oh my God, I'm sweating so much. I'm so sick. Right, okay, so now we're going to get into all of the individuals at this point, and I think this video was posted yesterday, who have basically said something publicly about their relationship with Blair, aka Illuminaughti.
Of these criticisms are from former employees of Blair under her, I think she has like a collective called Sad Milk that people were working with, and I believe that a lot of people were a part of this project with her, and it turned out pretty poorly because according to them, she was just a really shitty human being. Now, before I get into that, it's worth noting that even from the top down, Blair's getting a lot of criticism from other big leftist YouTubers, such as H-Bomber Guy, who probably is one of, if not the biggest leftist video essay channel, and he made a tweet showing what looks like some actual plagiarism from one of Blair's videos. He placed some clips side by side from one of her videos and an older documentary, and it seems like it's verbatim the same exact thing, right?
Professor Hugh Futenberg.
Professor Futenberg has long been controversial.
A man named Hugh Futenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse and misprescribing of controlled drugs.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
Now, whether she wrote this herself or one of her writers or something did it and she just published it without realizing the blatant plagiarism is unknown to me, but at the same time, whether she wrote it or not, she does hold some responsibility for releasing this, right? Especially given how she went out to accuse someone else of plagiarism, falsely, mind you, right? It wasn't actually plagiarism, and then here we have her doing the same exact thing that she was accusing someone else of, if not 20 times worse, right? I mean, this is more or less a taste of her own medicine type deal. And the clips themselves that H-Bomber Guy shows are pretty damn egregious. It is a word-for-word verbatim rip, it seems, from this other documentary, which is genuine plagiarism that should be called out. Now, that being said, in reference to the other callouts, I feel that while they're not necessary to be made, I will say the accusations seem in line with her character, honestly. My biggest problem with all of them that I've seen from her former employees is that there's no screenshots, there's no evidence of anything. And that's not to accuse these people of lying, because obviously sometimes it's hard to have proof or something like this. But at the same
so just to answer some people, because people are like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened, right? Okay. Illuminaughti actually does in my humble opinion, excuse me. Oh, what's that? I'm so sick. Illuminaughti does a really good job of basically explaining that situation in full. So hopefully when we get to Illuminaughti's video, you guys will understand that a little bit more. But originally, again, when I first saw this video last night and I saw the quite obvious rip of plagiarism word for word, I had the same stance as Turkey Tom, but my opinion on that has since changed.
Time, like, I just wish there was something to go off of, you know, because I want to believe them. I want to be on their side, totally. I want to be like, Blair, she's a piece of shit, but I just don't know, right? I just don't know. So firstly, we have this dude called The Click, who I've never heard of, but I guess is like a commentary YouTuber with 1 million subscribers, and he made a pretty extensive thread about Blair, calling her out for a number of things. Hey, peeps, I've seen the recent drama regarding Illuminati and would like to clarify I'm not affiliated with her, and I haven't been for over 2 years. I left her and her collaboration group, Sad Milk, due to similar behavior as seen in the recent events, lashing out at friends and fans, paranoia, and generally poor anger management, to name a few. Eventually, I believe pretty much the whole group left her. The last meeting I ever had with her, she spent half an hour, I think, hard to know, screaming at me for an array of random things, calling me a bad friend, lazy, and a bunch of random accusations that didn't really have anything to do with me. There's no way you can have the resume you claim and be this f***ing stupid, and so on. No one even raised their voice back at her. I left along with several other members, half the group at the time. She spent the next few months spreading lies and half-truths about us on the Sad Milk Reddit page and vague posts on Twitter. I still have all the screenshots. She would turn friends against you, or specifically team up with people she knew didn't like you, so she had allies against you, rallying mainly banned problematic community members known to be liars and conflict seekers. When people started questioning that maybe she was the reason everyone left, there was a very convenient digging up of 11 to 14-year-old videos of me, stuff I made back when I started my channel in 2009 when I was a teenager. As you can probably guess, some of the jokes from that time aged like milk. I publicly owned up to my past mistakes and apologized, doing my best to be transparent and honest about my past. She would still harp on it, ignoring the fact that it had already been addressed, trying to direct as much attention to it as possible, publicly stating that it was a bad apology, along with vague posting about it in comments on the collaboration channel, maybe in an attempt to get people to assume I had been kicked out for poor behavior, rather than leave because of her own behavior. She, assuming it was her and she had channel access, also liked to pull what I can only describe as very petty acts of revenge. For example, some people left comments on the collaboration channel saying, "Good the Click left." post. They obviously got ratioed hard as people were there for the creators. She would manually go in and delete the ratioing comments but leave the original hate comment. She tried to gain control of my Discord when it surpassed hers in size, by tossing around accusations at staff and trying to get rid of my team and replacing it with hers, giving me the ultimatum to fire my entire senior team or be publicly fired from Sad Milk myself. I was still a YouTube freshie at the time and she was quite intimidating, claiming connections and clout, reputation, and powerful friends. So everyone stayed mostly silent and had to constantly look over our shoulders for the next year. None of us even mentioned the whole thing. We were even worried about talking in our own Discords as it became apparent she had spies within our moderation ranks. We were just hoping we wouldn't have our reputation completely destroyed for simply walking away.
Okay, so as you can see, right, so after the whole Legal Eagle situation, which was a big nothing burger, nothing really of any value happened, then there were now like numerous individuals who started coming forward talking about their experience with Blair, because they saw that a lot of people had turned against Blair in this moment, and they decided that, you know, now was the best time to talk about it. Now, I ain't hating on the Click and any of the other individuals who came forward. Sometimes, especially if you feel like you've been done wrong, you have to strike with your opinion and your perspective on the entire situation whilst the iron is hot, and the iron was most definitely hot. So this is no shade towards them whatsoever. Their experiences are their experiences. I'm not about to sit here and say, well, you know, I don't believe you. Like, I can't make any judgment whether I believe them or whether I don't believe them in this moment, because we just simply don't have enough credible information to go with. And I mean that in a sense of us, the viewer, us, the consumer of this content. We are watching this take place, and it's very much at this moment in time a your word versus my word kind of situation. And when we have that with no receipts, no conversations that could be pulled up or anything like that, we really just have to take this at face value with a pinch of salt. So this is how things were going. And then after Click decided to come forward, as you can imagine, numerous other people decided to come forward as well. Okay, so let's read some comments whilst I'm cooling down. I am cooling down now. I've just opened the window. Okay, so we've got BZ, who just said people's performance doesn't warrant persistent verbal abuse, by the way, just throwing that out there. Again, what I will say is that I'm not sitting there being an advocate for being a dick, right? I'm not going to advocate that being a dick is the best way to be, or being a dick shouldn't be apprehended in any way. The point is that I'm trying to make is that there are dicks out there, and that out of the grand scheme of things that individuals can do to other people, being a dick is down the bottom of the list. Do you know what I mean? The idea that YouTubers should be more like be the moral compass of the universe, especially when it comes to commentary content creators, like, not all of us are great people, and that's fine to say. And I am more than comfortable saying that I've made a lot of mistakes in my time on YouTube and in my time on social media. I have been mean to people. Sometimes if you catch me on the wrong day, I can be incredibly rude. You know what I mean? So, like, we are also human beings too. We are multifaceted individuals with good days, bad days, highs, lows, and varying shades of grey. Nothing is ever black and white. So the idea that, like, you know, this bad person, you know, should not have a career, this is the narrative that was being spun on Twitter, might I add, that she shouldn't have a career because she did this and that and da-da-da-da. It's just nothing to me, because it's like, okay, so she's a terrible, but like, there's so many terrible people in this world, you know. And if the worst thing to come out of this is that Blair isn't very nice, then oh well, like, that's how I feel. Like, oh well, there's numerous other content creators that I would say weren't very nice. If you guys know my history on Twitter with a bunch of different people and one person who has passed away, I view that person as not a very good person. Doesn't mean that they are not good at their job. She was tremendously good at her job. Doesn't mean that they didn't deserve a space on the platform. Of course they do. But for some bizarre reason, again, that whole cancel culture mindset, once it starts, or like, it's like a domino effect. Everything starts coming at the same time. And it's so stupid to me.
This is just a brief summary of events. It's sad to see she hasn't changed. All right, well, if that's all real, then definitely a justified call out. That probably needed to be out there. Now, keep in mind, there's no evidence for any of what is said here, at least as far as I'm aware, regarding the private interactions. So
Izzy just says, Turkey Tom is a horrible person. Honestly, I don't know anything about Turkey Tom, but all I know is I genuinely enjoy his videos. So I have no like positive or negative. Like I don't think I've even had any encounters with him on social media, so I have no idea.
To take this all with a grain of salt. As I said, I'm unfamiliar with the clique, so I don't even know how credible this guy is. I'm not calling him a liar by any means, but you know, it's just with accusations like this, it's good to have a little proof before you go all overboard against the person, right? But if half of this is true, then the Blair rabbit hole goes way deeper than I initially thought. I mean, she'd basically be the next Creepshow art, right? If this stuff is real, from manipulating people to hate each other, being vindictive over basically nothing, digging up people's 10-year-old jokes to try and make them.
Okay, the Creepshow art reference is a bit strong, in my humble opinion. Sorry, I'm just chewing a cough sweet. A bit strong in my humble opinion. What Creepshow art did to actual friends was much worse, because then she took to social media to present them all as horrible individuals, engaged in negative threads about them. Do you get what I mean? And then we also have the quote-unquote real life, and I'm going to say alleged just for safety, quote-unquote real life stalking of another content creator. This is two completely different worlds, and to put the two together and associate them in that way just feels a bit much. Like, why is everybody who is a woman who has a bad take or does something wrong within the community compared to Creepshow art? Like, the bar is in hell at this moment.
Look bad. I mean, she sounds like a terrible person to be around. Like, why even want to speak to Blair, let alone be her employee, given everything said here? I honestly would guess that some of the people who work for her right now will probably leave as a result of these threads. And following this, another creator named Wonderstruck also posted a thread talking about Blair.
Hold on, we have a comment that says, read Dog Food's comment. Let's have a look. I'm just scrolling up. Dog Food just said, just watch I'm Not Sorry by Angelo Wallace. You mean D'Angelo Wallace, right? I don't watch his content that much, so I don't know. How long ago was that video? We might take a look at it after I've like tackled the agenda. Dog Food, leave a message and just let me know like when abouts this video and like what it's to do with before I like waste people's time by clicking on it.
And accused her of many of the same things, as well as just generally being a shitty human being. Wonderstruck really went all in on her, and this guy actually claimed to have lived with her for an amount of time, which definitely adds some credibility to the accusation, right? The amount of hours I would spend online making drafts, editor tutorials for new hires, staying up, trying to get some editing in if editors were shorthanded. I missed Christmas with my brother and father fixing the mistake of the editor she hired, and I didn't even get a thank you, and it took me more than half a month.
Just want to say, Sin Lovely, thank you so much for resubscribing with Prime for 3 months. Thank you so much for choosing to use your Prime with me. I really appreciate it.
To even get paid. Meanwhile, she delays payments to editors so she can purchase expensive clothes, visit BMW dealerships, and spends hundreds on food in a day. While I do hold my beliefs towards certain matters, every month or so there was a new villain of the week. And they would one second be a normal person in our lives, and the next second suddenly a hidden monster through, you guessed it, Blair's mouth. I mean, she sounds straight up psychotic, like picking personal friends every week to go after and accuse of something, I assume because they basically like wronged her in some way, slighted her, made some joke at her expense. Who even knows at this point? I mean, given her reaction to Legal Eagle, a lot of things could be potentially assumed from what this guy's saying, right? That being said, once again, there's almost no evidence being included here, so who's to say how true all this is, right? We do know at the very least that the clique didn't know Blair, so there's some credibility there. And
so this point is the point that I kind of want to make sure that everybody's aware of, is that at this point, we've had two people who have come forward speaking about their experience. And now I'm not here to say that Blair is like the most amazing person in the whole entire world, because I don't know her, simply. I don't know Blair. So I'm not here to say that she's an amazing person. But the point is that us as viewers, we don't know either. So for everybody to like hop online and make such sweeping judgments about somebody's character based on he said, she said stuff is giving very much T-channel. Until we have the information, then we can't say anything. Like, my opinion and perspective of this is subject to change. I hear that the clique is intending to make a video in response to Illuminaughti's video, which we will take a look at shortly. And if he comes with like credible receipts that I can sit down and, you know, analyze myself, my opinion on this whole entire situation might change. But what I'm trying to say is, as a community, I feel like everybody is fucking jumping the gun. There is nothing here yet.
And we also know that this person, Wonderstruck, apparently lived with Blair, and some of the proof they provided was a picture of her house. She lives like an actual monster. Her home is a mess, like Hoarder's bad. Constant subtweets about me on Twitter and ignoring me, and if I dare say anything back, her Discord manager would happily remind me of my contract. This is...
What's that? We got Sky who says, off topic, does anyone know what headphones Paige wears? Sky, if you hop into my Discord, you will see a link in the general section where I posted not too long ago where I got my headphones from. If anyone who is a moderator can just drop the Discord link into the YouTube chat, I would really appreciate that. It's not expensive headphones. This part here is like RGB. I don't know if you can see it. So it like changes colors to go with my background and stuff. So it's a really cool set headphones. And I think it's from an American company, but I got it on Amazon. I think it was like just under £70. So there you go. Reindeer headphones? I don't know.
This is disgusting. And so here we have a picture of a room, I guess, which does indeed look like some ridiculous depression den. I mean, it's just fucking foul, right? And I guess this dude actually lived with her for a while during all of this, which does, once again, you know, like I said, add some credibility to the accusations. But also, once again, I just wish there was more concrete evidence of all of this instead of just a Twitter thread going over the stuff the dude alleges. He does say there's some kind of contract that prevents him from speaking, and I honestly am willing to believe him on that. But regardless of that contract being in place, for me, as someone on the outside looking in, I just wish there was more to talk about. I know having proof for a situation like this is tough because it's a personal falling out and they knew each other in real life, so a lot of these interactions, if they did happen, were away from a camera or like something you can screenshot, right? Regardless, I just wish there was some proof to really put the nail in the coffin here, you know? Blair, you can't hide anymore. Sooner or later, you were going to push everyone who cared about you away, and you'd realize the world isn't out to get you, but you made your fears a reality all on your own. Now, if these allegations are to be believed, Blair's basically a psychotic person who has no regard for other
Laura Blue just says, being messy is not a sign of being a monster. I feel like that part was only included to like embarrass her. Like, say if this is the truth. I can't say whether it's the truth, whether this is a room or whatever, because I do believe in Illuminaughti's video, she does go ahead and say that that isn't even her room. So it was just like a vacant room that was within the house that she was living in. Excuse me. When all of this took place, I kind of feel like that was just to shame her and to embarrass her, you know, because nobody wants to be known as the person who's like living in filth, if you will. So for me, that was just like, I don't know, a little bit of a low blow. Do you get what I mean? Because when Turkey Tom said that it looks like a depression room, it was very much giving that. And some people go through things and I don't know, just a bit mean.
People and is extremely paranoid about being backstabbed or f***ed over, probably because she does that to other people all the time for personal gain. And this whole villain of the week thing is reflected with Legal Eagle, as she seemed to believe delusionally that someone using an editing technique was actually stealing something that was rightfully hers, right? When that could not be further from the truth. It just took one domino, ironically started by her, for all of these people to come out. And now people are claiming that she harassed some artist off the internet for drawing her little pyramid girl persona in a swimsuit, maybe because it's not accurate to what Blair looks like in real life. I really don't know what made her upset over this, but here's the thread. Illuminati is a YouTuber I once respected and watched a ton of her videos many times for years for both her production and the fairly valued information her videos provide, but has come to my attention about her recent actions and continued pattern of behavior, more recently weaponizing her online influence to deplatform an NSFW artist, Ludenwolf, for drawing a harmless, tasteful pin-up of her persona. No nudity, just her persona in a one-piece swimsuit, in a basic pose with bedroom eye and one-color background. That was it. And here we have the swimsuit version that I guess greatly upset her. It's interesting to see all these people come out about Blair because on one hand, you know, when I see a drama like this that's mostly petty, seemingly from the start, right, this plagiarism accusation, which is kind of a nothing burger from the start, even about talking about Blair's character, right? It doesn't say that much. Let's say it was just one scenario where she got really upset at someone for no reason. Maybe she's having a bad day and she decides to make this accusation against another creator, which is not fair, but in my opinion, that is forgivable, right? What she did is forgivable in that case. But then she kind of opened this whole can of worms to other people to talk about their own grievances with her, from H-Bomber Guy showing this instance of plagiarism, which is definitely really bad on Blair's channel, and I, you know, think there should be some response from her on that. And even beyond that specific instance, right, you have all of these ex-employees and collaborators of hers basically saying that she is a piece of shit. I mean, if you go to the channel of this guy, The Click, he has 1 million subscribers, right? 1.2 million subscribers. If you go to his Twitter, he's got 60,000 followers. I mean, he's definitely not a small YouTuber. He honestly rivals Blair in size. I mean, he's got 1.2, she's got 1.7. It's not that big of a difference in size in terms of relevance or popularity, right? And so for this guy to go out and let's say he lied about all this stuff, right? That would be a huge risk to his reputation. It would make him look terrible. And if it was proven that he lied, then he would look like a massive scumbag piece of shit. And this is someone whose entire channel relies on his personality being likable. I mean, I go to this guy's channel, his face is in every thumbnail, his personality is being showed in all of these like half-hour-long videos where he reacts to stuff, so his whole channel really is his personality and how he reacts to the content that he talks about. So for him to lie would be a massive risk to his reputation, and to be honest with you, from looking at his channel, he seems like a relatively brand-safe guy who doesn't want to kind of go, you know, against the grain of things, right? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not trying to insult him by saying that. I'm just saying he doesn't strike me as someone who wants to, you know, start trouble or start drama. And in this scenario, he felt the need to come out and talk about this person who he doesn't want to associate with anymore because they basically fucked him over in the past. And so for him to be lying, it would be a huge deal, right? It would be massive. So personally, I'm inclined to believe that he's probably telling the truth. I don't know that. For that reason, I'm not.
We got a comment that I want to address. Eva just said, Paige, I can't even watch this for your commentary because this male is a pure blatant misogynist. He shouldn't be given a platform. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, right, and I need to make this clear because my stance on this was not very clear in the past, or at least my stance was different. I was very much one of those people who believed that, like, you know, if you didn't like somebody or didn't like their message, that they didn't deserve a platform. I believe that even people that I disagree with deserve a platform. And that isn't because I agree with them. It's because how can I inform my own voice and my own thoughts and commentary around a situation if I don't have a conflicting opinion? For me, I don't like living in an echo chamber of hearing the same things and the same thoughts over and over again, because when you go out into the real world and you're confronted with individuals with varying opinions to you, then it makes it very difficult to like navigate those situations. So for me personally, regardless of whether I agree with you, regardless of whether I agree with the words that come out of your mouth, it doesn't make any difference to me. I want to hear what you have to say so then I can formulate my own opinion. So if you can't vibe with that and that's just your stance, 100%, I get it. But for me, this is how I function, and this is how I have functioned now, hopefully for about 2 years.
But to me, it seems kind of silly to think that he would totally lie about this, right? And even as I'm recording this video, I went to see the Click's profile on Twitter, and he retweeted another person tweeting out their problems with them. This person's called Oz Media. They have 35,000 followers on Twitter. If I go to their YouTube channel, there's 500,000 subscribers here. And if I look at what this person is saying, they're basically reiterating the same exact stuff about Sad Milk, about Blair, and about what went down. And they're saying that, you know, basically the Click and Wonderstruck are telling the truth. I think it's time that I actually speak out on the current Twitter threads exposing Sad Milk in 2020 to 2021. I cannot express how scared I am to do this, the fear I have in my gut to even speak out. However, I do feel it's important to say my piece on this subject matter. Yeah, it's a mess, but the tweet threads posted by Wonder and Click and what they have stated about Sad Milk is the truth. I'll be adding those threads below. The whole project was a mess from start to finish. I really wish I didn't need to do this, but with the flurry of DMs I've been getting, I don't have a choice but to speak out. Blair, I'm sorry, but you have hurt me. I need to speak without being told by you, oh, I'm just the villain, I'm always in the wrong, or something along those lines. Words I've heard from you consistently. I want to be heard for once. I need to clear my mind and conscience after holding this in for
The one thing that I am gathering from like literally everybody who's spoken about Blair and their encounters with Blair is that when it comes to Blair, she seems to, from their perspective, place herself as the victim. You know what I mean? And I can't help but think about like actual real people, real life human beings, guys, in my real life where, you know, if I say, hey, you know, this situation really upset me and I'm hurt about it and this is how I feel. And their response to this is like, you know, martyring themselves. Like, oh, I'm just the ogre, I'm the bad person, and it just makes it very difficult because you don't want them to see themselves like that, but you also don't want them to insulate what it is that you're saying. You want them to hear you and you want to be heard. So the one thing that I'm definitely gathering from the individuals who have got, you know, a lot to say about Blair is that she's just not hearing them. Like when they're talking, she's just not hearing them. And that must be extremely frustrating for those individuals. So I do have a little bit of empathy there for sure.
2 years. Forgive me, but it's what needs to be done. When looking at the whole project, it was mostly controlled and run by Blair. Her main worry was that because of her, in her own words, lack of personality, she felt as though her contribution to Sad Milk needed to be the managerial bureaucracy behind the scenes to justify her presence. This led to a defensive approach when anyone would attempt to assist with the nitty-gritty behind the scenes, despite her claiming that no one wanted to help her, one of the factors she claims to be the final nail in the coffin of Sad Milk. Blair was indeed the aggressor. She always had been. As an example of this behavior, look at the Legal Eagle situation. Blair has the habit of starting fights, but will almost never publicly apologize if proven wrong. She will instead hide behind a private apology, probably, and from my perspective, act as though this makes everything better. After all, she would express to me that admitting error would only make her look stupid and weak. This will be followed by her blocking people on Twitter, silencing her detractors through YouTube channel bans, deleting comments, and putting her accounts on the down low to prevent interaction. For example, on Sad Milk, she would blacklist former collaborators from being mentioned, but manually approve hateful comments towards them, which in my opinion, were specifically ones which instead praised her or the remaining members, including me. This is her MO. It has been for the 4 years that I've known her. It actually perfectly ties into how we first met and began to be on speaking terms in April of 2019. I mean, this thread is just, you know, brutally exposing her. I mean, if this person is lying, if all these people are lying, which, you know, this isn't to say that there haven't been accusations that have been false in the past. This isn't.
And also with this individual actually living with Blair, I think it allows people to believe that there are more validity to the claims that have been made as well, because it's a different, like when it's people online, even though people can call these people friends and, you know, individuals that they care about, associates and all that kind of stuff, it's very different to in real life. Because I always say, and I've always said when it comes to like my experience meeting other content creators and commentators and stuff online, is that when you meet somebody on like offline, it is a whole different experience. It's like meeting them for the first time. So if his experience of meeting them on like a real life basis and living with them is, you know, bad or sad, it does give validity to what the other people are saying. So I understand why people are like extremely hyped up over this situation. But again, with limited information, limited facts, limited proof to coincide with what these people are saying, it's very much hard for us as a community to take any real stance. Bloopers just said, Tom, slow down, you'll encounter a playback error. Still Navista just said, I'm an anarchist and basically the political opposite of Turkey Tom, but I appreciate his content, even though I strongly disagree with a lot of his objectively wrong takes. Lol. Here's the thing, right? And this is another thing that I do like on my Twitch and stuff. Again, shameless plug, go check out my Twitch. Is that I'll watch content creators that I fucking hate. For instance, I like have a hate watch situation with Candace Owens, and I'll watch Candace Owens' ridiculously wild, stupid takes in order for me to give my takes, right? I'm watching you so I can formulate my own opinion and my own stance around what your stance is, to combat your opinion with my own opinion. And I just feel like that's the nature of commentary. I don't believe that commentary should ever be an echo chamber of the same opinions. And I can flagrantly disagree with other people's takes and still see them as like nice people and human beings that I'd like to associate with, you know? Where are we going in the commentary space now? Like, where are we going that like nobody can have an adverse opinion or have an opinion that's like contrarian to your own? It's just wild. I'd like to hear other opinions outside of the ones that are the same as mine. If I wanted to watch the opinions that coincide with mine the most, I'd be watching my friends all day.
To say that there haven't been a bunch of, you know, instances where a bunch of creators have come together falsely against someone else. This could be a situation like that, but you know, for now at least, all these people seem to be convinced that Blair wronged them through this project Sad Milk, and they seem to think that she's just a shitty human being in general, you know? Sad Milk was very much like this. At the first sign of dissonance, her response was to have me confront OT and Click with this list of talking points in an attempt to show them just how wrong they are, which I accepted. This brings me to, well, me. What is missing from both Click and Wonder's threads is that fact that I acted as Blair's frontrunner. Anything Blair needed to say went through me first. Essentially act as a spokesman. This is actually a common factor in our relationship. I would always act as a filter to keep her out of drama or from saying things which would have been seen as offensive or kindle for a larger fire. I stopped doing this in January. This does not excuse me from protecting her for this long, but it is the truth. I could take the approach and say I was manipulated, which perhaps I was, but I still knew what I was doing was wrong. I always did, and it always hurt. It left a huge black mark on my spirit and my ability to feel comfortable in my own skin. I had moved to Colorado, got a house, and lived with her at the time. She was in my life every day, and I would hear these theories and villainous explanations directed at anyone who wronged her. It was hard to avoid, let alone fall for them. I believed it was my responsibility to protect my friend from something that, in my view, was clearly hurting her, something that I felt was eating at her and making her daily life worse. Things which in hindsight could have been solved with a conversation, but she was unwilling. Instead, the conspiring, backstabbing, and rumor machine were put into full swing. I, much as Wonder and Salty, were forced by Blair to choose between her or Click and OT. Of course, I chose the person I lived with. What was I going to do? Move again? And
One sec, somebody just said, Xylee, you're not wrong. Xylee's in chat? Is that the Xylee? The Xylee is in chat. Goosey, most of this chat is bandwagon. Hold on. Where's Goosey's comment? What's going on? That Amber chick, keep me informed. What the hell is going on right now? But hello, Xylee. Welcome to the chat. If you guys don't know who Xylee is another content creator who does social commentary here on YouTube. She has a channel and probably one of the best streams on YouTube. So if you guys enjoy other streaming content, definitely go and check out Xylee. I really love her content. We don't agree all the time. And this is another situation where I'm talking about you can fundamentally disagree with people. I don't always agree with Xylee's takes, right? But the reality is that I can have these conversations, agree to disagree, and that girl will still be my girl, like period, point blank. That is the end. So definitely go and check out Xylee's channel if you get the chance.
And the thread ends by them saying that they want Blair to apologize for once in her life and take accountability. They say, please, Blair, you would rather paint the world red than admit you have fault. And there's just a lot going on here, right? I guess that basically wraps up the drama for now. Once again, there's not a lot of evidence for these claims. So if Blair responds with some kind of counter response and, you know, manages to debunk all of this, I guess we may have some kind of, you know, false allegation on our hand. And a lot of people will have.
As I just said, your chat is out for blood for Tom. Ah, right. Okay. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, this is me. This is what I do. So it is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and like defend Tom. I'm not going to sit here and say I agree with everything that comes out of his mouth, because I don't. But at the same time, like, I just want to get through this so we can get to Illuminaughti's video, right? Because that's what we're all here for.
Have to apologize to Blair, or at least admit they were wrong about her. But I think that given the plagiarism accusation and then the actual plagiarism accusation against Blair, which seems to be true, given those two combined, I think a lot of people see her as kind of an untrustworthy narrator, and for that reason, they're kind of poised to hate her, right? Whether Blair will actually respond remains to be seen. For now, it seems she's continuing to upload videos regularly and not really concerning herself with this drama, so she's just kind of ignoring it, in other words. Maybe she will acknowledge it someday, though. I predict not, though. I think if she's guilty of any of the things that these people are saying, then it will be a very difficult sell to get the audience back on her side. Her best bet is probably going to be to continue making videos and just wait for all this to fade into the background. She doesn't want to worry about it or think about it. I guess if all this stuff is true, then let it serve as a lesson to people that if you spend years fucking over your friends, eventually they'll probably want to talk to someone else about it. In this case,
okay, so that's pretty much the end of the video. I don't really want to continue going on with this, but the reason that I brought up Turkey Tom or Tom Dark's video is because this is the most comprehensive rundown of what has been taking place. So again, just to restate for the people who may have joined the stream a little bit earlier, or a little bit late, sorry. What happened was Illuminaughti had a confrontation online on Twitter with a content creator called Legal Eagle, where she accused one of his editors of trying to steal her editing style and snooping around on her Discord and other channels to try and find a particular editing style. When a lot of people came for her online, a lot of the community at large said that she was making a mountain out of a molehill, she took down her posts and privately apologized to Legal Eagle. The situation ended there, but when that situation took place, multiple individuals who have either worked with or lived with or have been within close proximity to Illuminaughti ended up talking about their encounters with her and how she's not a good person and all of the other things it is that she has done, basically outing her as just like morally corrupt, if you will. So that's how the whole situation went down. Now, I ended up taking a look on social media and trying to find out where this law had come from, because apparently there were like loads of different individuals who had issues with them. So there is a video that is about a year old, or longer than that, 5th of September 2021, by a content creator called Truth Sleuth. And she made a video to do with Illuminaughti, basically detailing that all of the issues it is that we are currently seeing with Illuminaughti and the way it is that she navigates social media had somewhat been a long-standing issue with Illuminaughti. So whilst this might be new to a lot of people, especially since it's been brought from Twitter now to the public space of YouTube, this apparently was a long-standing issue. So this video is about 20 minutes long. I will try and skip the irrelevant bits, and I'm going to put it on about 1.2. No, we'll put it on 1.5 speed because True Sleuth tends to talk pretty slow. And this should give you kind of a little bit of a rundown as to what happened, because her and Cruel World Happy Mind also had some kind of contention at some point before, I guess, both of them somewhat deviated from the multi-level marketing content it was that they were making to more mainstreamized content. Cruel World Happy Mind comes from the multi-level marketing area of YouTube. That's where I originally discovered her, and that is where I originally discovered Illuminaughti. Both of them have now since started doing more mainstream content to do with more mainstream socio-political issues that are taking place within social media, the world at large. So with that being said, let's take a quick look at this video from True Sleuth that should hopefully give you a little bit more of a background and And then after that, we will take a look at Illuminaughti's video. So hold tight. We will take a look at the video in question. But right now, we're just going to take a quick look at True Sleuth and what it is that she had to say.
Before beginning this video, I want to remind you that no matter how you feel about anyone or the topics discussed in this video, please do not bully, harass, or send any hate. These videos are my opinions based on my research into the topics with the information already publicly available. With that said, everything is alleged and not to be taken as fact. Okay, I have never covered Illuminati before, but several months ago I actually intended on covering her because she got into quite a bit of drama with a YouTuber named Cruel World Happy Mind, and it turned out she has done other shady things to other content creators not that long ago. But before continuing with the rest of today's video, a word from today's sponsor, Adam and Eve.
Okay, Adam and Eve, go use code Sleuth. Okay, we're just going to move back. Truth. Go use code Truth for Adam and Eve. Okay, let's move on.
It is not shade either. Illuminati, whose real name is Blair, and a name which I will be referring to her moving forward, is a major YouTuber with 1 million subscribers. She started off covering Reddit.
Can I just say, y'all are shady for constantly using this photo of Illuminati. There are so many other nice photos, but y'all keep using this one photo where she is not looking her best. Do you know how many cute photos there are of her? Because when I was searching for, like, you know, thumbnail pictures of Illuminati for this thumbnail, there are so many cute photos, and y'all keep using this one, you shady bitches.
Content, but she eventually found her niche in the anti-MLM community. MLM stands for multi-level marketing companies such as Avon, Young Living, Mary Kay, Paparazzi Accessories, Beachbody, the list goes on and on. It is said that a lot of these types of companies are pyramid schemes, and a lot of MLMs have shady histories and generally have a bad reputation due to their more often than not predatory tactics with regard to recruiting people to work for them, aka leading these people to believe that they are going to be a boss babe, but it's all in their own mind. Blair is quite the polarizing figure among the anti-MLM community, since on one hand there are a lot of people who absolutely adore her and her content, while the rest are either indifferent or have bad feelings towards her. Might I add, she has quite the bad reputation among us in the commentary community, but I'll briefly touch on that in a bit and how it all came to be, along with some of her other drama that, in my opinion, demonstrates a pattern of behavior exhibited by herself and her director of her research team, and it was incredibly vile. I mean, I knew for a while now that she's problematic, but I was taken aback by the fact that she has 1 million subscribers and still cannot accept constructive criticism. Now, I used to be a big fan of Blair's until all the drama with another rival anti-MLM YouTuber turned commentary channel named Cruel World Happy Mind, and then seeing how she treated my friend Tipster when she was once a part of the SFTP crew. This is a commentary news group led by a YouTuber named Tommy C, and it stands for a shot from the point. Fun fact, she was once a part of this group and was kicked out for reasons which I will be touching on in just a moment. Also worth noting, although...
Okay, so if you guys, just to give you guys a brief rundown, because you might not know who Tommy C is. Tommy C is a commentary content creator here on YouTube. He tends to do live streams, and I guess Illuminati, aka Blair, was involved in his community quite heavily at one point, and they had some kind of altercation, and they are no longer friends. So this is why there are so many people, especially within the quote-unquote commentary bro space, you know, your I guess Keemstar, Tommy C, Chris the Narc, Nicholas Diorio, Augie RFC, all of those individuals seem to have a problem with her already because there was a long-standing issue. This was not something that I was aware of ahead of time, but apparently there is a long-standing issue now between her and this community. She doesn't fuck with that community anymore. So let's find out what took place.
While Blair mainly does anti-MLM content, she also does other series such as Corporate Casket. However, in today's video, I am focusing on another series of hers called Prism of the Past. In her own words, this is a semi-weekly series about historical events, people, and situations from the past, from the fascinating to the forgotten. In this specific series, she has produced content on topics such as Marilyn Monroe, Judy Garland, Quaker Oats, allegedly feeding children radioactive oatmeal, okay, and she also covered several topics as well. However, the one I am going to be focusing on in today's video is about Vocaloid. Chances are you're just like me and you don't even know what the hell that even is, and according to Wikipedia, here's what Vocaloid is. Vocaloid is a singing voice synthesizer software product. Its signal processing part was developed through a joint research product led by a person whose name I cannot pronounce at the Pompeu Fabra University in Barcelona, Spain in 2000 and was not originally intended to be a full commercial project. Backed by the Yamaha Corporation, it developed the software into a commercial product, Vocaloid, that was released in 2004. The software enables users to synthesize singing by typing in lyrics and melody, and also speech by typing in the script of the required words. It uses synthesizing technology with specially recorded vocals of voice actors or singers. To create a song, the user must input the melody and lyrics. A piano roll type interface is used to input the melody, and the lyrics can be entered on each note. The software can change the stress of the pronunciations, add effects such as vibrato, or change the dynamics and tone of the voice. Also, from what I've gathered, Vocaloid has a very dedicated fan base to this day. But let's table Blair's Vocaloid video for now while I briefly touch on some of her drama that I feel shows a pattern of behavior similar to the main part of today's video. As I said, she used to be part of SFTP, which at the time was an independent news channel ran by himself and several friends, Blair being one of those people. Here's a brief rundown of her falling out with that group from 2 years ago, as well as the beef being reignited several months back, which was in February. For this part of the drama, I am citing Tipster, who stated in his video back then that he was basically an outsider with this drama until Blair decided to involve him in it. I'll leave his video linked down below if you want the long version, but for the sake of this video, I'll be providing a recap of his recap about this drama. By the way, I had to censor the thumbnail for reasons that you're going to probably figure out in a few moments. Tommy C also told his side of the story, so I will link that down below as well. Anyway, it all started out with Tommy C giving Blair admin access to the channel, a decision he later came to regret because when they had their falling out, she went ahead and deleted all of the videos featuring her as a reporter for this channel without his permission. Yeah, that's pretty messed up, right? Oh, but it did not stop there, because the reason for this falling out is said to have been because Tommy made a fat joke about Tipster that eventually turned into merch. Tipster, having a good sense of humor, said he thought it was funny and had no issues with this whatsoever. It was also well known that this group roasted everyone that they discussed, but a bit of irony here is when a fat joke was made about another unnamed member of this group, and some of the members got offended by it, including the same member as well as Blair, who was said to have pissed off Tommy as well as the rest of this crew. Nick the Oreo.
Okay, so just so you're aware, Tommy C is a content creator that I cannot watch on any platform. This dude is the kind of dude who will say the arsler. He will say things that are just not ad-friendly. I think he's recently made the decision to start creating more ad-friendly content, but this is a person who is like free speech all the way. It doesn't matter if it hurts your feelings, words are words, fuck you and fuck how you feel. So that's why, like, it's so bizarre to me that the law with Illuminaughti, considering I see her from my personal perspective as somebody who comes across as very PC, very politically correct, was involved in this circle, because I was like, wow, you know, I never expected that to be the case. So Tommy C is known for this style of content, that very edgelord style of content, and apparently at some point a few years ago she was heavily involved with them, so take that as you will. I like to Vocaloid similarly to Ace Attorney. I unfortunately have a history with toxic friends standing in those communities. I don't know anything about these communities, I'm going to be honest with you. So that Vocaloid situation, don't care. I want to talk about Cruel World Happy Mind, but hopefully she comes to it soon.
Another member and commentary channel here on YouTube did a video about the situation back then, and Blair did not take kindly to it, to say the least. The video did get struck, but not by Blair herself, but it was speculated that whoever issued the strike did so at her request. Now back to the reason why I censored Tipster's thumbnail. The reason for the strike was due to the fan art that was originally made for her that was used in the original thumbnail for his video. It turned out that the person who struck the video was the original artist, who eventually made an agreement with Nick to lift the strike in exchange for him changing the thumbnail, and both held up their ends of the deal. Eventually, DMs between herself and the artist got leaked by Tipster, who she sent this receipt to for whatever reason, and it reads as follows. Yeah, this is a little blurry. Apologies in advance for that. Blair D.
A little blurry, girl. This is one hell of a screenshot, girl. I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't watched this video in full. I think I like zoned in and out while I was like working last night, so I haven't fully watched this video, so if I seem like very engaged, that's why.
DMs them and says, hey, I just want to reach out to you and let you know that there is a hate channel that just used your fan art you made for me as their thumbnail. I don't know if you gave them permission to use that, but if not, I just wanted to let you know so that you could protect your work. The artist responded back and said, hey, thank you so much.
Okay, so so it's very clear the motivation behind this alleged receipt. I'm gonna say alleged because it's very blurry, so like I can't even assess the quality and like if it's, you know, a real receipt to fake receipt. So I'm gonna say alleged. I believe this receipt to be real, but I'm just gonna say alleged just to save my back in this situation. But it's clear to me that that message was motivated by her not liking the content of that video, rather than being worried about somebody else's, you know, artwork being used without permission. You know what I mean? It seems like the motivation behind that at least was to get rid of the content in a more ethical way than like a takedown notice, which would have made her the bad guy, in my opinion.
For letting me know about this. No, I did not grant them permission to use my artwork, especially not as a thumbnail to lure people in with. Send me a link to them or text me their name so I can take care of it. Again, thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. I apologize for it causing an issue for you as well. Plus, I am sorry for responding so early in the morning, and then it cuts off right there. So while she did not outright say to strike this video, it's pretty obvious what she was implying here. In other words, it was a tell me to strike this video without telling me to strike this video type situation. So yeah, this drama exploded and led to Blair being sent an eviction notice to vacate the SFTP premises. Do not pay us go, do not collect $200, just get the fuck out. Hold this thought because it becomes relevant again in a moment. She also had some drama with another rival Reddit YouTuber named r/, where she allegedly struck their content.
Okay, just to let you guys know, I am going to get elevated, so I'll see you in a minute.
As well. I'm not going to dive into the specifics, but are you seeing a pattern here yet? Because I am. It seems like Blair cannot handle criticism and doesn't like it. I hate that this sort of thing is prevalent in this community with some content creators, especially because we make a living calling out shady shit about other content creators and influencers. So getting mad at others, returning the favor is very hypocritical in my opinion. It's like if you can criticize people but can't handle it when it comes back to you, then maybe move on to a different genre on YouTube. So anyway, fast forward to 6 months ago, back in February, when she had major drama with another anti-MLM YouTuber turned commentary channel named Cruel World Happy Mind, who was at the time a much smaller channel compared to Blair. Long story short, Cruel World did a video about an MLM company and later learned that Blair not only did a video about the same topic, but she noticed that Blair potentially plagiarized some of her work without giving her credit. As someone who was still considered a small channel and had this done countless times to me by significantly huger channels, I felt her pain and I was in shock that Blair would do something like this because, as I said, I used to be a big fan of hers, and in her description boxes, she was very thorough with the credit that she would give to people. So up until this point, I had no idea about her prior drama that I just touched on, so I still supported her at the time. At first, I figured it could have been a mistake, it could have been a mix-up, or she simply just forgot to give her credit because, hey, it does happen even with me. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt for the time being. That wasn't until I saw that Cruel World did a video where she discussed how she privately and politely confronted Blair, shared some of their DMs where Blair was being dismissive, trying to turn it around on her because she cited Blair in the past as a source, and said that she does not watch other anti-MLM channels because she doesn't want their content influencing her opinions. Two things I want to quickly point out here before continuing on. She was also caught in 4K lying about the situation on the Double Cleanse podcast that is hosted by the Welsh twins who both produce skincare and beauty content on their respective channels. She also briefly responded to this on her Twitch. Both of these will be linked down below, along with the now deleted video by Cruel World Happy Mind. So before going into the main topic, let's get back to this situation. After this, basically they spoke on the phone about her video for several hours because it began to gain traction and her buddies from SFTP caught wind of this, and I guess she knew that this could blow up in her face because those guys get a lot of views on their channels, and of course the massive anti-MLM community carrying it even further. She wanted to defuse the situation, which I fully understand, but the way she went about handling it was pretty awful in my opinion. During this call, they came to an agreement that she would remove the portion of her video where she shared the private messages between the two, which didn't exactly paint Blair in the best light. Now, side note, she did eventually remove this video altogether. Anyway, I remember back when all this unfolded, I saw these two tweeting about how they resolved things, and Blair even went so far as to—
Hold on, Kiara Williams goes, not you coughing, girl. I'm already sick, and I'm hitting a dab, so it's a me problem. It's a me problem. I wish there was another way that I could do that, but...
that they're both cool with each other. However, Cruel World didn't share the same sentiment because she was liking tweets pointing out that the situation was bad, that Blair was being shady, so that told me that she still did not like her one bit, and why should she? As I said, and because the internet is forever, the SFTP crew got a hold of this video with the original now removed segment and blasted it on their channels. Tipster did another video that was over an hour long, also will be linked down below. He discussed something disturbing where he pointed out that he ran a blog and would discuss his battles with mental health from time to time, something he also mentioned sometimes on his streams and social media to this day. He played some audio of her making jokes about his blog and mental health, and I thought it was absolutely disgusting. Normally I'd play the audio, but because she has a pattern of striking content creators or getting them to remove their content about her, I will not be playing this and we'll leave it at that. So if you want to hear it in full, you can watch Tipster's other video about—
Oh, boo, 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 boo. I hate when people are scared. That's so annoying. Fucking put it out. God damn. Like, I get it on one hand because we're content creators, we want to be paid for the work it is that we're doing, and we don't want to have that kind of contention or a strike on the channel, which ultimately means that when you have a strike on the channel, it's not suggested as much because YouTube sees you as a liability. I get the game, honestly, but boo, boo, I wanted to hear that.
About the whole ordeal between Blair and Cruel World. As for another pattern with regard to producing content that sometimes contains misinformation, let's talk about that. I now know there are several incidents where she was called out for this as well, namely one of those instances being one of her videos about Autism Speaks. Now, while I was gathering receipts last night for this video, I saw tweets about this, and to be fair, someone did comment under my thread about it and said that she was totally chill about one of the incidents, so while this appears to be a pattern of hers, there are also occasions from time to time where she does handle these issues well, so there is that.
Okay, hold on. We got Chandra who just said, are you saving this live or re-uploading? This live is being duo streamed. I did not mean for it to be duo streamed. So because of that, this live will be saved on my Twitch. So if you want to watch this video again later on, you will have to subscribe to my Twitch. I didn't intend for that to be the case because I don't like duo streaming when I'm doing YouTube, but that's the case because now it's their content, right? They're the ones who are paying for their content, you know, to be watched out of ours. So that's what is going to be the case. So if you want to watch it, you'll have to go over to Twitch, unfortunately.
However, as for one of the occasions where she did not handle it well, to say the least, some drama erupted over a recent video that she did on a program that I mentioned in the beginning of this video called Vocaloid. Special thanks to Irish Badass for sharing this with me. So, as I mentioned earlier, Blair has a research team that compiles,
Aki, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the 99 cents. I really appreciate it.
and submits their research to her on various topics of interest, and one of those being Vocaloid. Now, I'm not going to sit here and dive into the specifics of what was said with regard to the information that was presented in this video. However, there is a Google document out there now that details it in length, and I will be linking it down below. This document was sent to me by a major person in the anti-MLM community known as the MLM police. But to put it this way, Vocaloid has a very, very dedicated fan base who did not take kindly to this video whatsoever. After grabbing the receipts from Twitter, I went and checked the comment section for this video. Most, if not all, the comments were positive, which raised some red flags to me since it was the exact opposite on Twitter, and as you may or may not know, you cannot delete anyone else's tweets in the same manner that you can do on YouTube. There are loaded tweets that I grabbed, however, I will be mainly sticking to the interactions between Blair, this director named Sheikha, and several fans. Now, apologies if I pronounced her name, I'm just going to refer to her as the director or her director moving forward in the event that I said it improperly. Knowing Blair and her history with drama, I was wondering if she had learned from it, so I popped over to her Twitter to see how she was handling the situation since—
Can I just say, Truth Sleuth, right, is an incredibly good commentator, and she's extremely thorough when it comes to her research. Probably one of the more thorough content creators there are out there. I don't know if she's like, you know, got a new job and she, you know, isn't taking YouTube as seriously anymore, but I do hope that she comes back, because I had a look at her channel and she hasn't actually posted in like 4 months. So I do hope that she comes back, because this shit, her thorough investigation of shit, is the heyday of YouTube. This is the shit that I love.
it is her channel after all. She tweeted this out about what was going on. Today I woke up and someone chose violence for me. Now, while she stopped replying to people after this tweet, she continued to like comments that were throwing shade at the people calling both of them out, and she was also liking tweets of this director behaving unprofessionally on her behalf. Honestly, while I did have hopes that she would have handled this a lot better given her history with drama, I'm not surprised at how she handled this whole situation, especially since there is now a rumor going around that she is kicking and or outright banning people from her Discord server for simply discussing this.
And you know what's interesting, right, is that something that I've learned, especially since, because I don't have editing team or anything like that. I've had editors work for me ad hoc in the past, like when workload has been too much or when I've been trying to hire an editor. But I'm a Virgo, so like I find it very, very difficult to relinquish control in any way. But one thing I have noticed is that like when you hire people who aren't internet people, if you will, like aren't personalities on the internet within their own right, sometimes when there is criticism within the comments or criticism online to do with videos or content or things that they've had a very heavy hand in dealing with, it affects. I've read one of their scripts, you know, some parts of it literally fucking word for word, I've read their scripts. And when I've done that, some people who aren't internet people, who aren't used to the constant scrutiny that you can get as a content creator about the quality of your content, they get upset. So it's like, I don't know, your sister, your little sister is getting, you know, attacked. You want to fucking stand up and say, fuck you, I'm the big sister, you want to fight, let's go. You know what I mean? So I get that notion, but sometimes I feel like we as content creators need to take a chance just to say, listen, this is just the name of the game. Please do not take it personally, instead of aggravating the situation. But I have a feeling that from this, we're going to see like Blair aggravate it. Bloopers just says, thank you for the stream, and get well soon. Thank you so much. I think I've got like either like a chest infection or just a really bad cold, but I'm feeling a little bit better now. The doors are open. I'm not sweating as much, so I feel good.
As of the time of me writing the script and putting together this video,
and thank you for the $2. I really appreciate. £2. I really appreciate it.
She has not addressed the situation on her channel either, be it the video itself or in her community tab. If, however, she does address it here or on her social media, I will be more than happy to include it. After getting loads of criticism for this tacky tweet, the director showed up and decided to throw gasoline on the already existing dumpster fire that is this situation. Now, keep in mind that several people have deleted their replies to Blair due to this director going mask off on them with her replies. Now, apologies if some of them are out of order. These did occur around the same time frame and not several hours apart from each other aside from a few interactions. Anyway, here are her director's tweets. In response to Blair's tweet about someone else choosing violence for her, this person said this: but you aren't taking criticism or anything. Most of the information in your newest video, example saying Nyan Cat was Miko and it was Otawa Momo Mamone, I'm sorry, I know I butchered that, and blocking people. The director responded and said, we are done with the subject, the end, bye. The director then responded to a now deleted tweet and said, "We only have 30 minutes. We only use academic and industry sources. I understand you're upset as a fan, but get over it. Both myself and another Vocaloid fan are on the team and wanted to do this video because..."
In behind the scenes, but again, this is a situation where the content it is that was produced for the Illuminaughti channel was being scrutinized, and because of that, now the people behind the scenes are getting upset because they're taking it personally, and that's just sometimes like, I get it, but it's just like, we need to do something as content creators. We can't let that happen. Because also, we have to remember, like, these kind of things that take place, like, they reflect badly on our quote-unquote brand. You know, Aki just says, I hope you get better soon with $2.79. Really appreciate your donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I will get better, I promise. I promise after this weekend I should be back to normal, but right now I feel like absolute crap.
For fans. Also, fun fact, this tweet isn't about this. Bye. To say that this tweet made things even worse is saying the absolute least. Someone responded to her and said this, "Then make it 40 minutes. If you're going to do a video of a subculture that's been around for 12 years with thousands of contributors, you can't just gloss over half of it. If you're going to do something, do it properly." Yeah, they have a major point there. I mean, while I say that Blair does in fact do good research, as does her team, this is quite disappointing, and you know, as I said, I know content creators do put out misinformation from time to time, but it's all in how you handle it. Anyway, moving forward. Another tweet they put out says, "We are not a Vocaloid specialty channel. We will never cover it again. I regret being a member of the team who even wanted to discuss this because you fucking ruined something I was so excited to do on this channel. Go away." Someone else responded and said, "Because you fucking ruined something I was so excited to do," in quotes, and then said the word "you," also in quotes, the Vocaloid community, and her response reads, "Ruin this for you? Wow, no one has ruined anything for you. The video was riddled with misinformation and we tried to help. Your tweet is uncalled for, to be honest," and I have to agree. Now, going back to the tweet where she said that her and her team only have 30 minutes for a video and that they only use academic and industry sources, there were two quote tweets which read as follows. The first one says, "Which academic industry sources said that CU is a producer?" The second quote tweet says, "Half of your sources aren't academic and industry sources." Now, that last quote tweet that I just read, the director responded with this. "I mean, sorry we didn't reach out to quote you, darling. You weren't relevant enough. I would be busy working on a job instead of crying on Twitter."
Girl, get this girl off the internet. Oh my god. Holy shit. Holy shit, you weren't relevant enough. Get her off. Oh my god, that reflects so badly. Hopefully she's learned from that situation. Jesus Christ. Janelle, thank you so much for the $3 donation. I really appreciate you. I also wanted to say, because we've got the Twitch people as well, that Amber Chick resubscribed for 32 months in a row. I really appreciate it. God, have I been doing this long? That's a very long time. But thank you so much. Once again, shameless plug for the Twitch. You guys can find me on Twitch. My name on Twitch is PaigeChristieUK. I stream there 2 nights a week.
That last statement, I feel that she should take her own advice because all she's been doing is crying on Twitter and not working on her job, which is helping to produce content for Blair. That same person quote tweeted her and said, "You were whining about how we ruined it, bruh." Someone came along criticizing the people that were criticizing the misinformation of this Vocaloid video and said this, "If you're gonna quote tweet, at least do it publicly, you cowards. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen." The director responded and said, "I have more important things to do than make children cry today. I run a channel with 1 million subs. That doesn't mean you're immune to criticism and doesn't..."
Oh, the ego. The ego was big with this one. I run a channel with over 1 million subs. Like, girl, chill. Just chill. Chill a little bit. This is a bit much. That's a bit much. Did you watch the Illuminaughti apology yet? No. This video has about 3 more minutes left, so we're going to finish this video and then we'll be taking a look at the apology.
Doesn't give you the right to respond this way. Because if anyone is crying here in this situation, it's yourself and Blair. Someone else responded to one of the director's earlier tweets that I read and said, "But I don't appreciate you lumping me in with the people who are genuinely angry because I'm not upset. I was simply clarifying what Ari was referring to in the Vocaloid video, nothing more, nothing less." The director responded back and said, "Next time watch the video before you respond so you know what you're talking about. It usually helps. I wanted to do this video as a Vocaloid fan, pushed it for the team, and now you're all being children. We will never cover niche topics again." The end. Yeah, what?
Okay, so what I'm guessing, and this is obviously speculation on my part, right, is that if she pushed for this story as a fan of Vocaloid, right, pushed for this story, and people are saying it's riddled with misinformation. Again, I've not seen this video. I don't know who Vocaloid is, so I can't really, like, you know, say whether it's right or wrong or whatever. But what I'm gathering is that probably the outrage and the response towards this video has impacted her negatively behind the scenes, and that's probably why she is like now more emotionally charged around this situation. Yeah, that's what I'm gathering, because I guess if I was like in a team and I was like pushing for a, I don't know, Andrew Tate video, And everybody was like, oh, I don't know, and then I made this Andrew Tate video, pushed it forward, and then the content creator who was supposed to be the voice and the personality behind the channel made that video, and that person was receiving hate based on my research and the things it is that I put together. Then I could understand having charged emotions around it, but this was not the way to deal with it, in my opinion.
We'll see how long that lasts. I'm pretty sure that last statement is going to age like milk. Since I've already made my stance on this situation as well as my issues with Blair known, I'm going to leave it at that, except to say that I am disappointed, but I'm not surprised either. You'd think with 1 million subscribers she would have grown thicker skin by now, but in my opinion, she has not. I don't think she has learned from her past drama either, which is also disappointing. I feel that earlier on in any content creator's career, it is vital, if not an absolute must, to learn to take criticism for what it is, listen to the feedback, and do better to avoid repeating the same mistakes. All content creators mess up at some point, myself included, but it's all in how you handle your mistakes, and if you handle it poorly, it can make an already bad situation way worse than it should have been.
Okay, right. So I understand this situation. So from what I'm gathering is that there is this, because I thought this, again, what I will say is that I did not watch this video properly. I watched it whilst kind of doing other things. So I was kind of listening, but I wasn't paying attention when I first watched it. So I was expecting this to have a little bit more information to do with the Cruel World, Happy Minds situation. We might come back to that after the Illuminati apology video. But from what I'm gathering is that like people are upset that she has an inability to take criticism. And what I will say is, and this is again me not playing devil's advocate, but essentially trying to provide a level of empathy towards all humans involved, is that like when you are a content creator, sometimes when you speak negatively about a particular fan base, a particular fan group, you can be severely attacked by that fan group. In the past, I've made videos that have been negative towards Ethan Klein. H3H3 fans were on my back. In the past, I've made videos that were positive, I guess, towards Trisha Paytas, or at least, you know, saw in some kind of redeeming light towards Trisha Paytas. Again, I've had like anti-Trisha fans, would you call it anti-Trisha? Well, they are fans. Anti-Trisha fans on my back and, you know, dislike bombing my videos and stuff like that. And I've also had the same situation take place with Shane Dawson when I've called him out on things in the past, that Shane Dawson's community in their army will come along and attack you. So sometimes I find, especially for content creators themselves, that they find it extremely difficult to discern the actual like negative but honest critique from the subscribers who are saying, I understand you, but I'm not feeling this take, and differentiate them from the ones that are like, fuck you, you deserve to die, you terrible person, I can't believe you would XYZ. So I feel like that's like one of the fundamental issues, is that like sometimes content creators as a whole, not just Blair, but everybody finds it extremely difficult to discern between the real shit and the fake shit. And I have fallen, well, I was gonna say victim, but not a victim, but I have fallen for that as well in the past, where I have not listened to valid critique because of the amount of negative hate that has been like alongside the valid critique. And in the past, I've lost, you know, good subscribers that have been around for a long time, because all I was hearing was just the negative critique, and that was my negative bias speaking there, where I was just like listening constantly just to the negative and not really seeing any positive, or not really seeing the critique for what it is, which is something that I feel like all content creators fall victim to. But with that being said, I thought that was going to speak a little bit more about Cruel World, Happy Mind, but it didn't. But what I will say is, I have this video here from a website that seems to have saved one of the videos, which I think is a second video from Cruel World, Happy Mind, talking about her situation with Illuminaughti, which is a re-upload and archive. So we'll take a look at this video if there is time, but for now, let's get into Illuminaughti's video. So Illuminaughti did what I would call a No More Lies video, right? She came through, brought receipts, provided context, and as far as I'm concerned, did a pretty good job of explaining away a lot of things. I'll leave you guys to make your own decisions on that. Don't take my word for it. If your stance is that like Illuminaughti is still bullshitting, lying, not telling the truth, telling half truths, not providing enough context, then go forth. But at this very moment in time, in terms of like optics and who's on top at this moment, Illuminaughti handled this, in my opinion, very well. And also, I believe, provided a level of humanization, because in the end, she speaks about being hurt and her emotions, and you can actually hear her being pretty choked up about it. Whether you believe that it's like, you know, a way to emotionally manipulate people or not is completely up to you, but this is what she has to say about everything that has taken place and everybody who has come forward. So we're going to take a look at this video real quick. It's 42 minutes long. I'm going to put it on 1.25 speed. If I need to speed it up, I will. I'll put some closed captions on there as well. And yeah, let's just take a quick look at what she had to say.
Everyone, well, there's no really fun or interesting way to start this conversation. So you guys know what you're here for, and I'm just going to jump into it the way I know how to. So I'm sure, as all of you know, many things have been said about me in the past week, like week and a half-ish. And I'm someone who often doesn't speak my side of things, and that's something that's also been noted. Just for kind of full transparency in this, I'm going to be working from some of like my notes that I've written to accomplish two main things. The first is mainly to keep me on track with the subject matter and off of tangents. I know I like to go off on tangents and talk about various topics all the time.
Hold on, I've got Lily Lamau, who just said, take a blinker, babe. What the fuck is a blinker? Is this some stoner shit that I'm like not involved in? What the fuck is a blinker? I have no idea. Janelle just says, I'm definitely trying to keep an open mind with this situation. I hope everybody involved finds peace in the sitch. Well, I don't think that peace is going to take place anytime soon. Sorry, my sound is all over the place. I don't think that peace is going to take place anytime soon. And the reason that I say this is because it's very clear to me, at least, that there's going to be some response videos. So this is, again, a developing situation. My opinions, my perspectives when it comes to Illuminati is going to be subject to change. So let's just take a quick look at what it is that she has to say. I might move it to 1.5 speed because she's still talking quite slow. So let's go.
Time, but this is not that time. The second reason is really just to keep my emotions in check. A lot of the things that I'm going to talk about in the most of this video, to be totally honest with you, are things kind of from the past. They involve old friends, people that I used to consider close friends and I used to trust and really enjoy spending time with, and kind of reopening a lot of these wounds is really painful. It's really uncomfortable, and it's not something I ever thought I would ever have to speak about, especially not in this kind of way. After a few days of self-reflection and really thinking about what I want to say and how I want to talk about these things.
Hold on, Lily just says, it's when you take a hit from the pen until it blinks. I don't smoke my weed in vapes. I've not done that yet. Apparently it's good. I've never done it, but I am a dabs girl all the way. I love a little dab, hit, and then fall asleep. The best thing in the whole entire world.
These things, I think now is the right time. To be perfectly honest, I'm feeling pretty vulnerable to have this conversation with so many people and so publicly, especially since some of the things that I'm going to talk about today are really personal. And
just before I continue, is the sound okay for you guys? Because my sound is very quiet. Does she sound quiet? Yeah, she sounds a little quiet. Good. Right. Okay. We're all on the same page. I'm going to turn this on. Just bring this up just a tad. Okay. Hopefully this should be better.
And things in my private life that should have never become content fodder. So let me try something new today, and I'm going to address these issues. Now, before we get into debunking many false statements that have been made about me, I want to start with an apology. I have apologized privately to Legal Eagle the day after this incident occurred, though I have not been publicizing that until right now. Maybe this is something I should have said sooner, but I needed the time to think through the events that have preceded. And for those unaware, a short story. My editors came to me about how parts of a Legal Eagle video looked similar to our videos. And then there were messages and an email from one of Legal Eagle's editors asking for more information about how we do certain effects. I looked at the compared images that were brought to me and I said, wow, that does look pretty similar, and I impulsively posted about it on Twitter. Truthfully, I should have looked into this more instead of just putting the information out there the second I had a gut reaction about it. I should have asked him what the emails were about, but I didn't, and I made a mistake, and plain and simple, I was wrong. So to Legal Eagle and team, I just want to reiterate that I messed up, and I'm sorry for any stress this may have caused you and of course to your team. I know I apologized privately and removed the tweets with that apology, and I'm now publicly sharing that information with all of you. And I want to extend that apology to my audience and to listeners who are disappointed in me for this, because I'm also disappointed in myself. It was a quick-drawn decision and it wasn't thought out. I promise to do better. Now, as we continue in this video, I do want to give you a heads up that there will be trigger warnings for various sections as needed. I also want to go ahead and let you know that I will be providing a public Google Drive containing any and all relevant information that I will address in this video, similar to how I provide a source document for every episode of mine. Let's start with the first accusation and go from there. After Legal Eagle responded in his tweets, there was another tweet that arose in tandem to this situation. And that tweet was made by another YouTuber called HBomberGuy. And this YouTuber is someone who also creates longer form content. As someone who creates this type of content and researches various topics, the main thing to keep in mind is the source material used. Things like articles, interviews, videos, documentaries, academic essays, and so on and so forth. As video essayists, this is a core concept to both Harris and myself. Before I get into the accusation itself, I want to address the topic of plagiarism. And that word has been tossed around a ton, and it's not something to be taken lightly. And I just want to take a minute to define this word. On screen are definitions for the word plagiarism as defined by Merriam-Webster, Dictionary.com, and the University of Oxford. I'm showing multiple sources defining plagiarism, but the overall definition is going to boil down to this. Plagiarism is to take someone else's idea as their own or to not credit the source. With that definition being clearly identified, let's go ahead and take a look at what Harris brought to the Twitter table. Harris posted this video saying, and I quote, "Personally, at Illuminati, I would define plagiarism as something a bit more specific. For example, copying someone else's documentary directly into your script." End quote. However, in his own video, he shows where I'm audibly quoting a direct line from the documentary, and even visually you can see it on the screen with the quotation marks. Additionally, you can even see the dual ellipses on either end of that quote, indicating that more of that source was being cited. When you go to my sourcing page for this particular episode, you can also see that the documentary is listed as a source. It has been 3 years since I posted this episode, and I've been really grateful to be able to continually learn and grow with time. Since then, I've learned to be much more overt and obvious with citations, something that may not have been perfectly clear to me 3 years ago. I apologize.
Okay, so when it comes to this situation to do with Illuminati, thank you. Sorry, my cousin's bringing me some rum and some Coke. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Huh? Oh, the ice. Thank you, legend. Ice lolly. I'm okay on an ice lolly. Thank you. So when it comes to this situation, particularly with Illuminati, right, I feel like we can all agree, and like, feel free to disagree with me in chat right now. I feel like it is quite clear, and we can all agree that if the resources were in the description, even if it was very far into this resource tab within the Google Drive document, that she did credit the source. She never said it verbatim as if it was her own. She did credit the source. Are we all in agreement with that? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with that. Put a 2 in the chat if you disagree. And if you disagree, give me your thoughts why. I'm interested.
I apologize for the oversight of not making that quote more clear. At the time of recording, it was really obvious to me that it was a citation of the documentary, especially in full context of that section of my video, because that section was wholly dedicated to Brian Deer's work. And for some clarification, I would like to provide both you and Harris with the script that I was working off of. It will be available in the Google Drive. While I believe emphasizing the key phrase of the quote about stopping injections on autistic children was, and still is, very important to point out, the quote should have been fully displayed on screen. This was certainly a poor editing choice, and it's an editing style that I no longer utilize, but it's most certainly not plagiarism. But with that being said, I still want to take accountability where it's needed, so I still would like to apologize for the citation not being made more clear visually in that video.
Okay, so the majority of you right now are all saying 1. So it's okay. So again, when it comes to this situation, I believe personally that we can all adequately say that that part of the whole drama has been debunked. She definitely did cite her source, even if it wasn't made in a more obvious way. And I guess that's what she's apologizing for, that it wasn't done in a more obvious way. The point is that she is not, plagiarizing in the way that it was presented to all of us, which was a very believable way. But obviously this person who brought this to the internet didn't do their due diligence, which is quite ironic because that's what people are expecting of her. So I'm glad that we're all on the same page. Does anyone say 2, which is no? Because I'm interested to see people's thoughts. She did put it on screen as well, said DDPG. Well, there you go. I didn't know that. Amber Chick says 2. If her credit was hidden like that, then she probably felt some kind of way about it. DPG said that she put the quote on the screen as well, so I don't know like how that is. We also have Janelle who says, as long as you have the citation, it's cool. Yeah, and here's the thing, I think a lot of people expect commentators to constantly citate all of their work. And don't get me wrong, if I have the time when it comes to a video, or it's a long video that needs citation, I will. But sometimes, like, I just post the video and allow you guys to do your own research and credit the creators who are involved in the video in some capacity if I can. But sometimes I also am human and I just completely forget. There are times that my video is going up at like 2 a.m. in the morning and I'm tired and I'm just like, I'm going to sleep, and then I completely forget about it. So for me personally, if there's citation, it's a done deal. I have nothing to add onto that one.
Harris, I am also someone who takes plagiarism seriously, and I do see where your criticism comes from, but unfortunately, this was simply an oversight on an editing error, but not an act of plagiarism. To me, at the time of the recording, the entire section was very obviously a citation, even as seen in the script. There was a visual change to...
Oh, one sec. We got Lauren, a long-standing mod of mine. She says, 2, when quoting papers in a paper, you're supposed to at least change the wording or put in quotes the citation. But I may be being pedantic. I don't think it's a crime what she did. No, it's definitely not a crime, but it was definitely, you know, especially when she was talking about like the quote-unquote plagiarism of Legal Eagle, it did make her look even more silly in that situation. But if you're doing a paper, then fine. But again, I feel like when it comes to YouTubers, we're entertainers. We are commentators. We are just people behind a screen. As far as I'm concerned, especially when it comes to like writing scripts and stuff, I did my time in university, okay? I finished my dissertation. I don't like doing it. I'm just going to be honest. I really don't like citations in that way. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But for me, if I've left that life behind, I'm not doing it again. Anyway, let's continue. I want to get to the crux of this.
Break up the many words that would otherwise be just chunked onto the screen, which, looking back at it, despite not being so visually appealing to have tons of words on the screen, this should have been an opportunity to provide that full quote to avoid any confusion like this whatsoever. Based on the definition of the word plagiarism, his claims are simply false. Not only is the source quoted on screen, it's also cited in the sources list, which, again, I will provide in the Google Drive. As a more seasoned video essayist now, I've been lucky that I'm able to continue learning how to showcase facts and other relevant materials in an interesting and educational way. And
the Amber Chick just says, but you're not using the sources word for word, Paige. She kind of did. However, I will say there was a video that I did recently, and I can't remember which one it was, where somebody was like, did you just read Wikipedia word for word? And I didn't use Wikipedia. I used FanWiki, which is like a site where you can be like search for content creators, influencers, celebrities, and it gives you a rundown of their biography. And whilst I didn't go like word for word, I did kind of select certain paragraphs to talk about. So sometimes I do like use sources like that where I will read what needs to be read. For instance, if I'm saying, you know, Nikocado Avocado is a 30-year-old man who was born in November 1993, like, there's only so many ways you can say that. Do you get what I mean? So for me, there are times where I will read things semi word for word, but it's usually things that just need to be said. Like, how do you change that? Do I need to put in quotations, you know, cited from FanWiki, Nikocado Avocado is, it gets a bit, again, like what somebody else said, pedantic.
I'm really excited that I get to continue doing that. I'd like to think that in the last 3 years, myself and my team have grown to create better content that is educational and entertaining, and this is clearly an example of how we have improved since that time. I have nothing but love for everyone on my team, from editors, writers, artists, and even some of the not so fun kind of clerical duties like payroll. I'm always going to have their back, even if sometimes things slip through the cracks. We're a team of people who make human mistakes. We're going to continue to improve content as the years continue, and we'll always be able to learn and improve from the past.
Okay, so now we're getting into the sad milk situation. So this is where we start talking about all of the other individuals who have come forward. And this part was the most interesting to me, so let's take a look.
Before I address any one person individually, I want to kind of cover everything in a general and broader scope regarding Sad Milk. Sad Milk was a collaboration channel started by 6 friends in 2020. It was kind of essentially group Reddit readings and just looking at cringe things online and reacting to it. It was no big deal on the surface. This channel and this project was just meant to be something goofy, easy, and kind of cringy, but a shared channel that we could all get a kick out of. It was just supposed to be a bunch of friends hanging out, reacting to funny images, and just having a good time together. I mean, the channel name was literally called Sad Milk, so it wasn't really something that anyone was taking too seriously. Discussing Sad Milk now in current day is always a little bit bittersweet for me. It was a fun project among friends that turned sour. The issues I'm about to address cost me some of my closest friends at that time. When the Sad Milk channel was formed, I initially took the lead and I made the channel, I made the Discord, I got my mods from my server to help run the new Discord, I hired and managed video editors to help us produce more content. I was the one who was sourcing the topics and files for each video, and I was the one who had set the schedules for recording too. The reality of the situation was this: with creators in different time zones, it was logistically pretty hard to get everyone together at one place in one time. We tried to do it organically multiple times, but unfortunately someone would always end up missing from the recordings. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into a YouTube channel, and I bore the brunt of it for this project. And it wasn't something that I was doing to have total control as some members have suggested. I managed the schedules and the editors because it was just something that needed to be done. People weren't stepping up to the plate, and I did, and I ultimately bit off more than I could chew. It was a lot of work, if we're being honest, and I was beginning to burn out pretty quickly. Had I known how I would have been treated through this channel and afterwards, I never would have joined this project. Essentially, everyone in the group had two main responsibilities for Sad Milk. The first was that you had to show up to the scheduled recording, and the second was you had to pay your portion of the editor's fees as they arise. After the editors were paid, any earnings that were left in the channel were split into 6 equal pieces for each person. Since this was a project among friends, we all initially agreed to just split the earnings 6 ways, even though I was taking on some extra responsibilities. When it was time to pay the editors, I wasn't answered or told that they would just get it to me later. I had to do this at various points with a vast majority of the members of the group. They would eventually get around to reimbursing me only after I expressed in group meetings how I was upset that I have to do everything, and I also got stuck footing the bill too. What quickly transpired was that members either couldn't or wouldn't reimburse me for the editors. For clarity's sake, I do want to disclose that we as a group later revised our agreement after paying all editors and creative freelancers that 5% of remaining earnings would go directly to me for the administrative work that I was doing. After that, the remaining earnings would then be split amongst the group evenly. Ultimately, the channel made very little, and it actually cost a lot more than we earned a majority of the time. Something the Click brought up in his Twitter thread was that I was angry and yelled in a meeting, but what he didn't share was the context of that meeting. As I've previously stated, the scheduling and money issues had been an ongoing problem. In the meeting that he vaguely references on Twitter, this is what actually happened. I had become more and more frustrated about how I was doing all of the work, I was doing all of the maintenance, and then I was also having to financially foot the bill to the project. As I said, it was burning me out pretty quickly, and I was thinking about leaving the group. Ozmedia suggested that he try to run the meeting and I not attend, and I agreed. But One Topic and Click were very insistent that I be there, even though I said I was not ready to talk and I needed more time. So when I entered the call, I tried to let everyone know that I was uncomfortable with having this conversation and I was not ready to have it. Again, I would like to point out that at this point in time, these were still my friends. These were people that I liked and cared about. Letting your friends know, hey, I'm not okay right now, I'm really stressed and hurt, while you all get to stream, I still have to pick up the pieces to keep this channel going, is a really difficult conversation to have.
And this is an issue that like I see a lot, especially when there are like these collaborative channels. Like we've seen so many times, especially on like YouTube and especially within the commentary space, that when there are collaborative channels, not everybody will put the same amount of effort in, and when that happens, that tends to annoy the people within the group who are willing to put the work in. There are so many collaborative effort projects that I have undertaken in my time on YouTube that have never really reached the, stratospherical heights that I believe that it could have reached, and it was because people just weren't putting the same amount of time, energy, effort into it. And if you are an individual, from what I'm gathering from Illuminaughti, who sees their job as like a business, I see my job as like a part of me. But some people, I've had this conversation with Sloan in the past. Me and Sloan were like text messaging like a while back, and I was asking him, because obviously his channel exploded. He has got way more subscribers than me. He has, loads of different external avenues of revenue. And whenever there's like any other influencers that I enjoy, that I can, get some information from to, help me on my YouTube journey and what it is that I want to do, and maybe give me some guidance in things that I don't know or don't understand, I'd love to ask those questions. And one of the things it is that he said to me is that he takes his personal self out of YouTube and that he views his YouTube as a business, which is fundamentally different to the way that I view my YouTube. My YouTube for me is an extension of myself. But if you're a person who views YouTube as a business, and I'm guessing that Illuminati views her YouTube as a business, like the idea of putting so much time, energy and focus into something that other people aren't pulling their weight on, I imagine would become extremely frustrating. This is not me saying that gives her any leeway to speak to people like shit, to, be horrible, to be mean, to, act in the way that people are alleging that she has acted, but it does give me a level of understanding, because I know that there are some people who view YouTube like that, and I know that there's some people who don't. So, yeah. Alex Dangoy, I hope I said that right, says, yeah, it sounds like a conversation that at least should have been given time for a proper closure, for better for worse. Siriat Faskigi, I don't know if I said that right, says a group project where only one person takes the work seriously. Yeah, and I've had that in the past where I've had arguments with good friends of mine, people who I consider close, like closer than anything. And we've undertaken group projects in the past, and I've got really upset because for me, I want to get to a point with everything it is that I do, any external projects on YouTube, where we work unpaid to get to a point where we get paid, and once we're getting paid, then we build together. And sometimes it's so difficult to work with individuals who who don't have that vision in the same way that you do. And I've had to shut off projects in the past. There are numerous projects that you guys keep asking me, oh, are you going to do another blah, blah, blah? And it's because I've had to shut it down because not everybody was pulling their weight. And when the burden then falls onto you to not only film, edit, put together, find the topics, organize the times, source materials, all that kind of stuff, when it takes you being the person to do all of that, sometimes it can just be emotionally draining. So I understand that 100%.
The meeting started, I was told that if I didn't show up, that they would not have the conversation with me and everything would just stagnate. So I tried to put the channel and my friends' needs above my own. Reluctantly, I joined the conversation, and as I was speaking, one topic talked over me, and out of frustration of this happening yet again, I raised my voice and said, "Can you shut up and let me talk for once?" And he left the call, and that's the last time I ever spoke with him. Looking back at it now, I should not have spoken to my friend like that. I felt that I wasn't given time to process and think things through, and in process of, emotion vomit came out. One topic, I would like to apologize for that, this time publicly. Clearly, this was a situation that affected all of us very deeply and personally, and this was an exciting idea, but one that never really took off the way I think we thought it could. To all of the members of Sad Milk, I just want to say that I'm very sorry that I caused you stress throughout this project. I want to take a couple minutes to bring up the Click and the many claims that he made on Twitter recently. The Click brings up how, as he puts it, a very convenient series of videos resurfaced with him saying some not-so-savory things after he left Sad Milk. His old videos, as he puts it, aged like milk. They did. I'm not going to dive into it further. The information's out there if you so choose to look. And as Click stated, those videos are 11 to 14 years old. And to be perfectly clear here, those videos are not any of the reasons as to why we split ways in Sad Milk, as Click tries to insinuate. Even back in 2020, I had stated that those videos had nothing to do with the ending of Sad Milk. I was actually...
Hold on, there is this long ass post, which I'm believing is from Reddit. So let's take a quick read. It says, explaining here that his old videos had nothing to do with it. So let's read it. It says, I would actually like to clear this up. The only thing that the Milkmen did, any of them as a whole, was show up to a recording that I had to create a schedule for, say funny words, and then upload their audio to a drive that I manage. I did the post collection, I managed the channel and its upload schedules and meetings, the thumbnails, the ideas for your video, the ideas for videos, all of Sad Milk's finances, taxes, paying all of the freelancers, managing the Discord server and the social media. I want to make it perfectly clear that the most any of the Milkmen had to spend on Sad Milk was 2.5 hours a week. I spent closer to 30. I do not want the work I did to continue to do to be belittled by this false narrative. I do that in addition to doing it with 5 other channels. In college for my master's degree, caring for a chronically sick special needs puppy who has my whole heart, 3 merch shops and a soap business. Okay, this is where we're getting into a point where all of your personal issues are now everybody's issues. Do you get what I mean? Like, I understand the idea of like not everybody pulling their weight and that being a burden to you and your primary job, your primary income, which is your Illuminaughti channel. But the whole like, you know, I have a soap business, 3 merch shop, like that's nobody else's problem. You took on that burden. The next part says, I asked for help and the only people who stepped up to the plate were Damien, Oz Media and Wonderstruck. When I said that I needed help, that is what started the fight, and I got left out in the cold by those 3. They left in the middle of the night and I woke up, not even a DM, but a message by the Milkmen chats of them leaving. What they did to me and the channel was cruel. I am not friends with them. Click saying the N-word, R-slur and F-slur had nothing to do with why they left. And if I had seen these videos sooner, it most certainly would not have been a reason. That is disgusting, and I am happy I am no longer friends. So that's what she had to say on the subreddit.
Actually unaware of those videos at the time of our friendship, but had I been aware of them, that friendship would have likely ended sooner. Unfortunately, when those videos surfaced, it wasn't really all that shocking to me, as Oz Media and I had actually talked about how Click had been using the R-slur while we played games together. I thought, or I wanted to assume, that I had misheard, but Oz said that he was uncomfortable with it and said something, but the language...
Okay, we got some more receipts. So it says, and just to make things clear, this is an anonymous person. At least one of y'all told him it wasn't cool, right? Because I think that it's blank's main point. Then Oz Oz Media says, I made it clear that I was uncomfortable with it. This is in 2020, while we were playing C&C. Plus, the silence should have been enough, but he would still say it. Alpha just said yes. Then another person says, yeah, but so is it true that you're so he is short. One sec. Fucking dyslexic. So he is for sure a lying shitbag. Good to know. Then somebody else says he also seemed to have realized, at least by the time of that stream. Then Oz Media says Click's language barrier isn't an issue. He's known English for a while, and the R slur in Sweden is very frowned upon since the early 2000s. So I'm guessing that like maybe Click is not either American or English, or, you know, doesn't speak English as his first language, and maybe that was like a reason that they were given for like that negative language. I don't know, but that's a receipt.
Continued. Click, you are right. Those videos in question are old, and at this point, they're kind of irrelevant. People can learn and people can change. That being said, at the time in 2020, Click was still using horrifying language and slurs that have long been deemed unacceptable. I'd now like to address the Click's claims that I had any involvement in trying to gain control of his Discord server by, as he says, tossing around accusations at staff. Because unfortunately, there were some truly sinister things occurring in the Click's Discord that were brought to my attention. For this next section, I would like to provide a trigger warning. There will be mentions of explicit sexual language, mentions of...
Okay, so can we get some trigger warnings in chat from the moderators, just to make sure that everybody is aware before we continue? She is going to be talking about sensitive subjects, including molestation, CP, possibly. I think there was something to do with grooming and stuff like that. So just make sure we got some trigger warnings in chat so that people can see it visually as well.
Pedophilia, graphic imagery, and inappropriate behavior around minors. Before I go any further into this, I want to mention that there's going to be resources in my description box regarding what I'm about to discuss now. I do think it's relevant to bring up that in 2019, the Click's channel was terminated by YouTube for sexual content. At the time, a few YouTubers, including myself and Oz Media, band together to help reinstate Click's channel. Oz spoke to his MCN representative, and I spoke with YouTube directly. This is something that I now look back on with so much regret. Had I known at the time what was going on behind the scenes, I never would have participated in helping Click with his channel. Allow me to explain the situation a little bit. The Click and I had shared Discord moderators around the time of Sad Milk being created. Due to the Click's inaction, our shared moderators had brought a situation in his server to my attention, a situation involving pedophilia. In Click's Discord, there was a 19-year-old bragging about a 12-year-old that he was claiming to be involved with.
Okay, so this is admin toast. Right. It says, I never wanted to bring fear to other. It was a long talk with Wit's her mother, and it can be possible that I can get misunderstood in ways. I don't know what this means. Due to my lack of English. Right, okay. I will stop that, and I think that is a reason. And I think that this is a reason for a ban. If it is that I won't change it. I won't talk about it. I can say the whole story if you want. Somebody said, yes, please. Then it says, she and I got in contact on a TeamSpeak server. On this point, okay, so this person clearly, English isn't their first language, so I apologize if I'm like really struggling. I don't think this is just my dyslexia. At this point, I didn't know her age. We gave each other phone numbers and we talked on WhatsApp and Messenger app. And we then, and then she told me that she was 12. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Lord. I listened to this whilst I was putting my makeup on. I didn't read, so I have no idea what these are about to say. But we'll turn 13 in a couple months. I asked her if her mum knows about this contact. She said yes. And I wanted to talk to her mum to wipe out any misunderstanding that already where there were upcoming ones. Her mum and I talked eye to eye, I guess saw eye to eye, and after some weeks, she and her mum cammed up. Maybe they went on camera together? I don't know. So I guess one of the people within the Discord was speaking to a minor who was like at least 12 or 13 years old. If the person is an adult, which I'm assuming that they are, that should have been like 100% indication to terminate any kind of conversation from this point. So this is very sad if this was allowed on a Discord.
Moderator reached out to get more information on this situation. This 19-year-old then reiterates, and I am directly quoting this here, I talked with my therapist about it, even too, and he told me as long as I don't touch her, it's okay. Click and...
Okay, so there's one second, there's more here. me telling me that she got a feeling for me. I personally find it a bit strange, even that I have been feeling for her. I guess they have feelings for her, but her mum told me as long as we don't do shit like stuff should happen with age under 16. So I guess as long as they don't try and do anything inappropriate sexually, I guess she is fine with that. Sometimes she and I have the feeling that this is, kind of wrong. It is, but this is the truth. It is wrong in some point. I talked with her a lot and I don't hold her back from leaving me. So I guess he's trying to say that, like, he talked to her about it and, you know, he's okay with the idea that if she leaves him, like, because it's weird, then yeah. If she wants to, she can. She is almost 13. Okay. And I am 19. Her mother is kind of proud about how easily I can say these things. What is wrong with the mother? Jesus Christ. But honestly, it's making me sometimes sick. Then fucking stop. Sorry, I'm finding it very hard to keep my emotions with this shit. I try my best to be as, like, objective as I possibly can, but shit like this really gets me angry. I talked with my therapist about it, and even he told me as long as I don't touch her, it's okay. Oh, Lord have mercy. Some people might say that love doesn't know no age, but it is still a human brain, and this is kind of wrong. I just wanted to be the male sight she never had. I guess the male figure. And that's even weird then. If you want to be a male figure, then why get... Listen. It's easy for me not to touch her. I mean, what do I have at the end when I touch her besides a new warm place in jail? What? I have nothing than sitting in a jail and in a bed and in a bad mental health status. Lord have mercy. The therapist needs to be looked into. What is that advice? These are the kind of things that, like, quote unquote maps say, you know what I mean? Like, as long as I don't touch her, like, I'm an ethical map, right? Minor attracted person. I'm an ethical map. As long as I don't, like, act on these things, then I'm not really harming. And it's like, no, but there's something fundamentally wrong with your brain. Like, these are defenseless kids. Their cognitive ability is not at any point. Like, it's not even like, okay, so I, for one, I'm not the kind of person who will sit down and condemn, you know, a 19-year-old for, like, dating a 17-year-old, right? Because especially with, like, YouTube and social media, the idea is as soon as a person hits 18 years old, all of a sudden their attraction to people who are minors should, like, simply disappear. Stuff like that, I have a little bit more leniency with personally. Like, if somebody's 17, you know, just about to turn 18, yada yada yada, and they're dating a 19-year-old, that for me makes sense. But the idea of a 19-year-old and a 12-year-old, like, what on earth do you have in common? And also, like, it's a baby. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be as objective as I can, but that's a baby, and I have nothing positive to say. Lock everyone involved up. Yeah, if this is the case that was taking place, and obviously we are once again taking her word for it, but at least she's come with receipts, and I wanna make this clear, because all the other times that we've heard this he said, she said stuff to do with the Illuminati situation, it is the case that nobody else had receipts. They said they had receipts and they could prove them, and I guess that's probably going to come in videos. But when it comes down to actually providing receipts to coincide with what it is that they have to say, Illuminati is the only person who's providing that. Bloopers just said, took strength to read that. Here's a super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Honestly, I'm fine. I'm emotionally fine with this. It just makes me very angry, and I'm trying, like, to keep my cool, because being overtly emotional, especially when it's like with stuff like this, is like sometimes my downfall, because I see red and I'm like, fuck you, fuck everybody, I hate you, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to keep it cool, trying to keep it cultural. I'm gonna try my best, but yeah, let's continue.
His team did not pursue any immediate action to ban, restrict, or report this individual. So those shared mods came to me, and they told me that they were uncomfortable. So we used this individual's ID number, and we banned them from the SadMilk server and from my server, and we reported them to Discord's trust and safety team, who we hope did pursue this further. Then,
so it seems as if there was moderators who were within Click's Discord. So what I'm gathering, there were moderators who were within Click's Discord, right? Who were also shared moderators with her. So they were moderating numerous different channels on Discord. And what she did was protect her area after finding out this information, because apparently there was no proactive approach to get rid of this person from the Discord server. So what they decided to do was stop him from being in SadMilk, stop him from being in their Discord servers, and reported them to Discord. Which I'm kind of like, well, what else are you expecting her to do?
I went to contact Click to see what was going on, and it was mainly because I didn't want to believe that he would blow off someone clearly discussing such an inappropriate relationship. In fact, this was right off the heels of one of his admins sharing pornographic content to people that they knew were minors. One thing that I would like to point out here is how these users were pushing pornographic materials to a minor who explicitly states that their parent is in.
Okay, wait, we're gonna have to rewind. Screw. So, this is one of the posts. Oh my god, how did we get here? I didn't think that we were going to be getting to this point though. Here we go. Fuck it, just send it, I agree. Then the person sent, I guess, pornographic material, lol. Then the other person says a new emote, nice. Oh my god.
People that they knew were minors. One thing.
Then it says, I mean, I didn't even notice it was a drawing at first, so I guess it's like maybe hentai or something like that, I don't know. It says, lol, that's good art.
That I would like to point out here is how these users.
Then somebody says, hi, I'm blank, or any nickname I keep changing. Call me whatever you like. I'm a Minecraft mod selected in the same batch as ALP. I live in blank. I just turned 16 a month ago. Come and play at the server anytime and I'll help you if I'm on. Thanks. Oh yeah, I speak Mandarin, so if anyone wants to have a kung fu fight in the DMs, I am up. So I guess this is showing that like there are minors who are definitely active and within the server.
Were pushing pornographic materials to a minor who explicitly states that their parent is in the room with them.
My parents are right next to me, laugh my ass off. Well, they can't see my screen, but still. Then the other person says, in that case, and I guess they made them smaller. And it says, please no, I'm gonna have to exit the chat. And the other person said, no, this is fucked up. If Click is going to come back with it, they're going to have to dispel a lot because this is fucked.
So they were hiding their phone. I would like to point out that a common tactic for abusers who are attempting to groom children is that they expose them to pornography and other sexual content in an attempt to desensitize the child. I'll provide Rain's page on grooming for further information. And if you're a child currently in a similar situation, I urge you to speak to a trusted adult or authorities. And again, resources will be provided below. Having to relook at these messages again still makes my stomach turn, even 3 years later. When Click didn't initially take action, I switched tactics with him and I called one topic.
Okay, we got more reading. So Illuminati said, hey, I didn't mean to bother you, but can we talk soon when you are free? I'm in a bit of a conundrum and I don't know what to do. The other person says, yeah. One topic says, yeah, what's going down? Can I call? Girlfriend is getting ready for work nearby. How sensitive is the topic? Very, it involves pedophilia. What's going on? In Click server and Click knowing, 19-year-old and 12-year-old conversation was public in the server. Multiple members went to his staff that did nothing. My staff were there and had to ban the person and tag their ID to Discord to report them. And this is what on the heels of Click's admin sending BDSM tests to minor aged mods. Why are there minor mods? I'm sorry, for me, especially if you are obviously a content creator who is over the age of 18, there should never be any minor mods. Minor mods are not a good idea. Then he says, what's going on? What's that? Hold on. He goes, hang on, I'll walk over to my mic rather than do this on my phone. Okay, ready. Then they had a 17-minute call. Illuminaughti said thank you, and they said always.
Who was and still is, to my understanding, one of the Click's closest friends on social media. I got into a call with both of them and I shared these files with them. And one topic opened the files, he was horrified, and he said, and I quote, I've read one and I don't want access to those screenshots. It was after this conversation that Click took action and reported and removed that individual from his server. I really wouldn't lightly make accusations like this unless I had seen them for myself. And let me be abundantly clear here, I am not trying to accuse the Click of pedophilia, nor do I have any reason to believe that he could be a pedophile. However, he cultivated an environment that was a breeding ground for inappropriate behavior with minors to occur, and that's exactly what happened. Having our shared moderators approach me in my server about this very serious situation in his server was extremely uncomfortable, but something the moderation team felt needed action that was not being taken. Furthermore, referring to these shared moderators that we had as spies, as he said on Twitter, it only dismisses the fact that he allowed this sexually explicit language to occur around minors. He referred to them as spies, which only shows that he didn't really see any issue with the state of his server. Mark, I'm going to address you directly here. On your Discord server that had, and likely still has, minors present, you as an adult need to do the right thing and actually pay attention to what goes down in your server or ensure a team will take action against inappropriate behavior. I am sorry to those minors who were spoken to in such an inappropriate way. You were, and some of you likely are, still children. Adults should not be having sexually charged conversations with you or sharing sexually explicit photos with you. This is and always has been unacceptable. I will be providing links in the description box for a few resources for anyone who has been negatively impacted by these events. I did what I could, but I wish I could have done more. And I wish that the Click had more accountability.
It goes for screenshots from his server with his team will be available on the Google Drive. Okay, so there's like a Google Drive that coincides with this. It says there will be images and languages that will be sensitive, so I'm not going to click on it because obviously we're on YouTube. It says including many screenshots of adults sharing BDSM tests. What the fuck is a BDSM test? Discussing results and including minors in those conversations. Graphic imagery and names will remain censored. I might check it out on my phone first before taking a look at it after this.
Of his own server. I also hope that since my falling out with Click that he has learned from his past errors and worked to better himself. I hope that he and his current moderation team are holding themselves to a higher standard. The past 3 years have been challenging to all of us, and I think it's safe to say that living through a global pandemic has changed us in one way or another. Click, I hope you have learned to not tolerate such behavior in your server. I hope that you have learned from this and that you'll continue to strive to do better. I truly regret ever being friends with you. And I hope that I can finally close the door on that chapter in my life. I want nothing to do with you, and I can only hope that I will no longer be associated with you after all of this. When it comes to discussing Wonderstruck, his actions are some of the most confusing I've had to deal with. I'm going to address his concerns, though a lot of it is fairly tricky since he hinges his accusations on anecdotal commentary. In responding to his baseless claims, I will provide evidence as necessary, as well as point out when things I mention are anecdotal, so I completely understand if you choose to dismiss my anecdotal commentary as it arises. His thread on Twitter makes many claims about who I am as a person and how I've treated him. I hope to come at this with a level head and a very thorough explanation of events. With that being said, let's start with Wonder's accusation of wage theft. That's a big one, and it's important. I talk often about how paying your people is important, so I know how ironic it must look to have that accusation thrown back at me. To begin, let me explain Wonder's employment history with me. During Sad Milk, all of us were contractors to that channel. We were paid as contractors so we could handle taxes in our respective countries on our own, as not all members were American citizens. As many of you are aware, video editing is largely considered gig work, and in the industry, most folks are contractors and work on a variety of projects for different clients at the same time. During December 2020, like all of the members of Sad Milk, Wonder was considered a contractor. On December 24th, 2020, at 5:39 a.m., I received a message from Wonder letting me know that he took a shot at reworking a video that had already been edited by a different contractor. I want to clarify. I did not ask him to do this. This was something he did of his own accord. I responded to him, letting him know that his edits would go live at 1 p.m. on December 24th, 2020. I don't want to claim to know what goes on in Wonder's personal life, but claiming that he missed Christmas with his brother and father, I just don't know how that's possible when the video was finalized early morning on Christmas Eve. And Wonder, I do want to thank you again, as I previously had verbally done so for editing that video. It was great to have a video go live the day before Christmas. As for his claim that he didn't get paid for his work for more than half a month, I would like to let everyone know that Sad Milk's payroll was on a bi-weekly schedule. That simply means that there is a payment every 2 weeks, which is essentially half of a month. This is something that I have continued within my own channel to this day. Both salaried and contracted employees are paid every 2 weeks. And to further add to that,
that's quite interesting because obviously if she's doing a business that is solely based on YouTube revenue tends to pay any time between, because like my payday varies, right, from month to month. YouTube ad revenue pays anywhere, at least for me in the UK, can't really speak for anyone else, but between the 21st of the month right the way through to the 26th. I don't believe I've ever been paid later than the 26th of the month. So it's quite interesting that she pays people on a bi-weekly basis. It must mean that she has her accounts and affairs in order, bitch, because I pay my people monthly. As soon as YouTube pay me, bitch, I'm paying you. Like, simple as. You know what I mean? A bitch got paid, I got paid 26th. So the bitch got paid 26th, like they're getting paid today.
that, most companies, at least in the US, pay on a bi-weekly schedule, so this is not anything unusual or uncommon. To continue the discussion of his employment with me, I will have to give some much needed context. For this section, I will be providing screenshots where applicable, but some of this is anecdotal, as much of our conversations were either over voice calls or in person. Further corroboration of the anecdotal evidence will be provided in the Google Drive. Wonder and I were still friends throughout the end of Sad Milk in 2020, as well as into 2021. During this time, he would often tell both Oz Media and myself how living in Austin, Texas was a nightmare for him. He would often complain about his roommates being terrible people, his friends being mostly terrible people and unmotivated to do well in life, and how his car was always breaking down and how his channel was not going in the direction he wanted. And then he talked about that last bit of family that he had moving away and he was essentially alone. I won't speak on behalf of Oz, but I know I was moved by Wonder's stories. Without going into personal details, I was pretty horrified by what he had explained happened in his past. I was saddened by how he constantly talked about how bad his life was and how he felt like a failure.
Okay, so we got Vanessa who just said, sorry, because I've been behind on the messages. It says, she didn't even address his accusations, just brought up the pedo thing when it wasn't even directly involved. So what other accusations is it that you would have wanted her to address in this, like out of interest? Because I'm struggling to remember, I'm just going to be perfectly honest, struggling to remember what it is that Click actually said besides her, like, not being a very nice person. Which, I mean, what can she say? I don't know. Like, that's somebody else's interpretation. This is disgusting, but I am failing to see how all of this is relevant to her own faults. It seems like major deflection. So what? Okay, so I want to ask what the audience would have wanted to see from that Click section. What is it that you guys wanted to hear from her? What is it that you wanted her to confront and take a look at? Let me know in the comments and then I'll come back.
Failure. He said he felt alone, depressed, and uncertain of the future. And at that point, I knew I wanted to help him in whatever way I could. At the end of 2020, I paid for his tickets to visit Oz and me in Colorado. During this trip, we discussed the possibility of Wonder moving out to Colorado due to his discontent with his life in Texas. Oz Media and I had just moved into his newly purchased home in April 2021, and...
Okay, so Dog Food just says, this is a they are worse than me thing. Right, I'm seeing what you mean. Right, okay, I'm following. So you guys are thinking that, like, because obviously some of the primary concerns that Click had brought about, like, you know, her behavior, her shouting at everybody in the Discord and all of that kind of stuff, you guys feel that she didn't adequately deal with that. My question is, and don't get me wrong, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, did I not pay as much attention as I should have? Maybe. But, like, didn't she already address the whole shouting at everybody and being angry in the Discord and apologizing to everybody within that Discord, within the Sad Milk section? So when it came to Click, she addressed something new. And I guess I understand where everybody means, like, it's like, you know, tag, you're it. You are a terrible person too. Don't you point me out as a terrible person because you've done this. Like, very much like whataboutism. I get that. But I feel like she adequately answered the whole, like, you know, I was upset. I was under a lot of stress and you guys weren't pulling your weight and I was really upset about it and I spoke rude to you and I apologize. So what else could she really say? Because other than that, I can't remember what else it was that Click said that needed to be combated. Maybe I need to go back. Hippie Hoppy just says, he was basically saying that Blair sent spies from his Discord server to be controlling and use his past controversial videos as a reason for cutting him off. But she also showed where she stated on Reddit that that was not the reason. It had nothing to do with, you know, the old videos that have now aged like milk, and that it was more so to do with, you know, how the whole thing fell apart for other reasons outside of that. So I feel like she addressed it. Like, if it's not the answer that you want, then I can understand, right? But as far as not addressing it, she did address it, I feel. Twiggy just says, this is so dumb that people are dogpiling her for being mean or petty, like everyone in the world has been both of these things. This stuff is so dumb. I 100% agree with you, Twiggy. Bloopers just says, from that section, it feels like she's deeply turned it into, I'm going to do all this because you're an awful server owner, when it should have been, we should ban this creep. I'm not sure. From that section, I feel like she deeply turned it into, I'm not going to do all of this because you are an awful server person. I mean, I understand the notion that, like, what does this have to do with the current situation? But I guess if people are calling out your integrity, like, I can understand you posing the, like, waving the opposing finger and saying, you've done far worse than me. You know what I mean? I get the idea that it's, like, very much, like, whataboutism, but I'm just, like, I don't know. If somebody wanted to sit down and call me a terrible person and this person was harboring, you know, pedophilic content, or maybe not pedophilic, but inappropriate content, conversations with minors, with adults that were inappropriate and all of that on their server, I would be, skirt, bitch, don't you come at me when we all know what the fuck you did. So I get it. Maybe it's petty, maybe it's juvenile, but I feel like she kind of answered what was supposed to be answered. Let's scroll down to the bottom. We have Sarah Deli, who says, nothing cancelable, but also... but she also, like, not a good person. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable taking moral advice from somebody who doesn't recognize their own moral failings. I feel like that's fair. That much is fair. If, like, people were to take this situation, the way it is that she's acted, the way that people have come for her on social media, her ex-colleagues, people who have worked for her, and said, I'm not going to derive my ideas of morality on this person because of the way that they've handled these situations, that much I can completely agree with. But the idea that she didn't, like, address the situation, I feel like she has, so far at least. What's up? We got Sweet Pea, who says, frankly, I think the most YouTubers be on bullshit. Okay. Just don't let me find out that she's a pedo or not paying. Plus, from her side, Wonder seems shitty. Wait till you get to the Wonder dog in the car thing. I've already heard this part because, again, when I watched this, I was putting on makeup, so that's why I'm, like, reading the receipts, because I never saw the receipts. But yeah, I remember that part. So let's continue, and then we'll get back to the conversation.
And he decided to welcome Wonder into his house. Unless Oz Media was doing so without my understanding, Wonder was not charged any rent, utilities, or internet for sharing our living space. Later in May 2021, we welcomed Wonder into the house. Oz even personally drove down to Texas to get Wonder and his dog, James. I want to explain my perspective a little bit here. At this point, I was finally starting to feel comfortable with my channel, and I felt that I was in a good position to be able to help somebody out and truly change the lives of one of my close friends. I was in what I felt was a privileged position, and I wanted to share that with someone I cared about and wanted to see succeed. With that in mind, I decided to hire Wonder to do some editing work for my channel, and now we can get back to the continuation of discussing Wonder's employment. Wonder was hired on June 7th, 2021, and was salaried at $50,000 a year. To be frank, Okay,
let me just make this clear, right? And this is without... I am going to be shady, but I am not going to out people within the community because I feel like karma will do her thing. When it comes to paying people, right, there are several different, very prominent, very popular content creators who don't pay their staff. This has been happening for so long, and sometimes it's very hard for me not to call these content creators out because they derive a majority of their success from the people who help them out. But there are numerous prominent content creators within the commentary space who aren't paying their people, right? Now, I make an effort to make sure that my people get paid every single month. I make sure that my people always get paid. And if I'm late, bitch, I will give it you as soon as you fucking mention it, because I sometimes, you know, life happens and I will forget. But I will definitely make sure that all of my people are paid. There is not a single person who has worked for me who can possibly ever say, Paige never paid me for work done. I even had somebody who made a video for me, right? And it was a random, like, they didn't get selected to be a researcher for my team, unfortunately, but they did do work for me. And obviously, as I don't know whether you guys remember, we did like researcher trials and stuff like that, and we trialed out a bunch of different stories to see who I wanted on my team, right? And there was one person who did a video who I used the content of their video for myself, and I completely forgot. I'm human, you know, it happens, right? Completely forgot to pay them for the work. And then the following month, which was the month that I would have paid them for it. They sent me a message and said, hey, you know, you use my content. I'm just wondering like when I should expect payment. I was like, holy fuck, I forgot. I paid them immediately. There is not a single person who can turn around and say that I do not pay my people, because I do. And I make the terms clear as hell before we even start paying people, right? So it annoys me when I see that there are people who aren't being paid for months and months and months and months on end. And there are content creators that I wish that I had the fucking balls. I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bit scared of the drama that could come my way. But there are people who don't pay their content creators. I've had researchers who have researched for me and left other content creators because those content creators weren't paying for them. Had one particular researcher who came over and says, hey, I've researched for a couple of different channels. This is the last channel I researched. The reason that I'm looking for another job is because this person hasn't paid me in over 3 months. I keep asking and they haven't. This is one situation. Dustin Daly, another content creator, had a similar situation where he hired a researcher to help him to research his true crime styled videos. And that person also worked for another content creator and had a similar story of them not paying them for like literally 2 to 3 months. And that's why they were looking for work elsewhere. This is something that's happening within the commentary space so much, and it is wild to me. So the idea that this woman has her shit together, that she is providing like $50,000 in a salary, like a yearly salary, is wild to me. Because for me personally, I pay people based on ad revenue. If my videos do well and you do well and we all do well, you get paid. If a video gets over 100,000 views, you get a $50 bonus on top of everything else. Like, we have our own incentives and stuff like that. So it's just wild to me that she's got her affairs so in fucking order that this person was salaried at a monthly salary. I can't salary people, and I know there's so many other big, massive, huge influencers who are probably even bigger than Illuminaughti who can't salary their people. So I just think it's wild that she's able to salary people. Like, she's going to talk about it in a moment. She talks about like 401ks and stuff. Like, I hire my people as freelancers. I can't afford all that.
Just really wanted him to have an easier job so that he could focus on his personal channel, as he had told me numerous times that was his ultimate goal. His only task was to edit short clips from any live streams that I did so that I could post them onto my secondary channel, Illuminati. In addition to his salary, he received all benefits that I have for all of my salaried employees, which include a 401k, full health insurance, and an internal benefit I created for my team called an LSA.
It says, I forgot to mention, but I also have a volunteer reimbursement program where if an employee volunteers in their community, I will reimburse them at the rate of $25 per hour plus $100 per year for doing so. Do you know how you have to have your shit together for that? I could never. I pay my researchers a percentage based on ad revenue for the month, right? So at this moment, the way it used to work is any videos that they particularly worked on, that they would get a percentage of ad revenue. As it stands right now, how it works currently is they get paid a percentage of overall ad revenue on my channel because they help with way too much now, right? So that's how it works. I don't give them any extras. The only extras that can happen is if they need any resources or have to buy any applications or programs that help the channel, I will reimburse them for the programs. So say if you decided to take on the job of creating thumbnails, right? And you needed to pay for an application that does the thumbnails for you. Maybe you need Photoshop or, you know, Affinity Pro or whatever it is that you use. I will pay for the thumbnails because obviously that's mine, and also it's a tax write-off for me, right? Let's just keep it all the way 100. So it is wild to me that she's providing 401ks and shit. I don't know another influencer who's doing that, like dead ass. I don't know a single other influencer who is doing that right now, who is in it like the Phil DeFranco level. Wild.
The LSA stands for a lifestyle spending account, and it's essentially more money to put on the table if you as an employee want it. It allows you to submit receipts for things that you've purchased, and I've seen things like groceries, pet supplies, books, new tires for cars, massages, mortgage payments, and so much more. And essentially, I'll reimburse those into more income. During his employment, he never took advantage of any of the benefits that were made available to him. The content for Wonder to edit was dependent on me being
Empress K says, I smell BS. What do you mean you smell BS? Do you mean that you don't believe that she's providing 401ks? Elaborate. I'm desperate to know what you think.
able to live stream. During this time, I unfortunately only had 2 streams for him to work on, which Wonder would have been able to produce about 4 videos from. Wonder did not meet the deadlines for either stream. Despite this, I kept him on payroll, I continued his pay, even though no work had ever been completed. Although there was only a minuscule amount of work for Wonder to do, he still managed to act up within company spaces. He made inappropriate comments on forums that were visible to other employees, he didn't complete tasks that were assigned to him, and he failed to follow company protocol. I have a strict policy regarding formal disciplines, and within his short time of working with me, he had already met the criteria for termination. Now, let's move on to the legalities that Wonder brought up in regards to how he claims that he ended up with no car, barely any clothing, no money, and no home. Which leads me to one of the stupidest mistakes of my life. After repeatedly hearing Wonder say how desperately he needed a car, and after believing what he said—
Okay, it says here, to clarify, he did not own a car. He did own a car, but it was very old and falling apart. When we discussed him moving out to Colorado, he said that his car wouldn't be able to make the drive because it constantly falls apart.
Said about how miserable he was, I decided to try and help my friend in a way that I now realize was pretty idiotic. I look back at this decision with regret and embarrassment. This part will get a little nitty-gritty with the details, but I believe I need to fully flesh out all of the information to give you the full picture. After many in-depth discussions with Wonder, I made the decision to purchase a vehicle that he had already agreed to enter into a rent-to-own contract with said vehicle. On June 12, 2021, Oz Media and I collectively decided to take out a loan together in the amount of $42,359.69. Additionally, I brought $28,346.79 in cash as a deposit. Wonder did not contribute to the deposit on the car. With this rent-to-own contract, I agreed to only charge Wonder the cost of the loan and not the full value of the car itself, meaning within a 24-month period, he would have only paid $14,120.12 for a car that, when purchased, went for a grand total of $61,386.23. And let me be clear here, aside—
Okay, y'all are gonna have to let me know about this because I don't know, like, rent-to-own cars or anything like that. I have a car of my own. I bought it outright, but my car was very, very cheap, so I don't know about like how the rules are when it comes to like rent to own cars and stuff like that. So like, is what she alleging that she did a good thing? Like, I'm not sure. Car and a retirement plan, that's what it's sounding to me. It's a retirement plan where you buy stocks. What you mean, like a 401k? Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad deal. That's what I'm thinking. It sounds like a good deal, but again, I don't know how you guys do things in America. Damn, he really bit the hand that fed him. That's by Lily Lamau. Rob just says, after the rental period, he would own it. Wow. Okay, let's carry on.
Aside from him accepting my job offer, this was the only legal documentation between the two of us. I will have all of the stipulations of our rent-to-own agreement on the screen now, but just know that the most important thing was that after 2 years of consecutive—
So it says 24 consecutive payments on the vehicle, minimum of $588 due by the 15th of each month, beginning July 15th, 2021. The vehicle will be registered and reside in Black County in Colorado. Duration of the rental period. The renter will maintain physical damage and liability cover. That makes sense. Over the vehicle over the time. There will be a lapse of, if there is a lapse of insurance, any payment to reinstate the policy will be the responsibility of the renter, so he has to insure it himself. Renter will be responsible for the insurance premiums. Yes. Owner will be listed on the casualty insurance at all times. Okay. Registration fees will be paid by the owner until the title is signed onto the renter. Okay. Paid by the owner, I guess, until the title is signed to the renter. Oh, right. So for the 2 years, the registration fees will have been paid by Illuminaughti until it was released to the renter. Okay. Any maintenance fees or damages to the vehicle outside the warranty services provided by BMW will be paid by it was by BMW. Go. BMW. Okay, that's a nice car, girl. If the renter does not maintain vehicle schedule and causes damage to the vehicle, the renter will be responsible for any damages that occur. If the vehicle is a total loss, otherwise deemed a mechanical failure, the renter will forfeit all payments made on the vehicle. If the following terms are satisfied and brought to term with final payment on July 15th, 2023, so literally not that long away, renter will own the vehicle free and clear with no lien, loan, or titling issues. I don't know what that means, but that sounds like a good ass deal to me, at least.
car payments, and following all of the stipulations, the vehicle title would be transferred over to Wonder. With the amount that we put into the car, as well as payments on the car that I continued to make monthly, he would own the car outright with no lingering auto debt after that 24-month period. In a DM with me, Wonder later told me that if he hadn't accepted my job offer and my rent-to-own agreement, that he would still have an apartment, a car, and close to $10K in his bank account. I'd like to reiterate that unless Oz was charging rent without my knowledge, Wonder was living rent-free while earning $1,923.08 every other week, and would have to pay only $588.34 once a month. I don't claim to know the ins and outs of his finances whatsoever, and I very much was not involved.
I don't know. Apart from me just sitting there like, is that enough money to live on? I don't know like what the situation is in the US. Is like just under $2,000 enough to live on in the US? Especially if you're having to make a payment of over £500 a month. Is that enough to live on? I don't know. Let me know.
Involved with what he was doing with his bank accounts, but I failed to see how I could possibly cost him $10,000. In reality, the agreement I made with Wonder would have me lose $47,266.11. And again, looking back at this, I feel extremely foolish for ever even agreeing to such an arrangement.
Okay, so I knew this was a bad deal for me. This wasn't about making money off Wonder or whatever he might try to claim. This was to try and help a friend get back on their feet.
There were two outstanding instances that voided our agreement and constituted the repossession of my vehicle. The first was the proof of insurance that Wonder never provided. Insurance that is something federally required of any vehicle on the road in the United States. The second infraction on our agreement occurred when Wonderstruck left the state of Colorado to go back to Austin, Texas. You can clearly see these stipulations in the document on the screen right now. Due to multiple defaults by Wonder in our contract, I felt that I had no choice but to repossess the vehicle, which was my property because I am the one who owned it. When I landed in Austin, Texas, I called the non-emergency Austin PD 311 number to explain the situation to them. I told them that I had all of my title documents on me, I had the extra key, I had my insurance cards for the vehicle, and I asked them how I should proceed. They told me they were unconcerned as I was well within my legal right to collect my own property. They furthermore offered me a police escort for the repossession if I wasn't able to collect the car on my own. So on July 29th, 2021, I was able to get a hold of my vehicle and I took back my property. I would like to take a moment to bring up the condition of the vehicle upon its repossession. Within 1 month of using the vehicle, the car was visibly soiled, trash was littered in the car, it contained dirty clothing which consisted of I think 2 pairs of dirty boxers and maybe 3 mismatched socks. There was also a huge crack that went across most of the windshield and for some reason the glove box compartment.
That's not cute. That's like mad disrespectful actually. That's not cute. Ay.
In the front passenger seat was somehow broken. The state of the vehicle was shocking, to be honest, but at this point I was just happy to have my car back and know that it couldn't be damaged any further. And
hold on, Nichols Abak just said she wanted to control him. I'm interested to know why you think that this is a controlling mechanism. Because, I'm open to the idea, so, I'm not, completely closed off to that. I'm genuinely interested in why you think that that was, a mechanism used to control. Because that sounds like a good-ass deal, but I just don't know whether his overall wages, and yes, taking into account that he wouldn't have been paying rent and stuff, but it seems as if that was a very good deal. His wages, probably not. To live on, survive, have a good quality of life, yada, yada, yada. His wages, maybe not, but the car and not being able, the ability to not pay rent, that sounds like a good-ass deal. I remember I used to work as a children's entertainer all over the UK. I've lived everywhere, right? I used to work as a children's entertainer. Most of the time, I'd only get paid £1,000 a month, and that's because my rent ended up being £880 approximately each month. So that was for me to live on site and, my amenities and all of that kind of stuff. So I got paid a ridiculously low amount, but it was because I didn't really have any outgoings. My only outgoing was the £1,000 that I used to feed myself and do whatever it is that I wanted. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That sounded like a good deal. The math is hurting my brain. It's hurting my brain as well. The Amber Shit shares, I can see how it could be seen that way, because this sounds like scam level too good to be. It definitely sounds, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Definitely sounds like that. Yeah, where was the comment that I was originally responding to that said he was trying to control him? Who said that? Nichols are back. Why didn't he just get his own car if his wages were so good? I don't think the wages were good. That's the part that throws me, because I'm is that enough really to live on? Yes, you're getting a 401k and all that, but is that enough to live on feasibly in this world? I don't know.
And Oz, I want to thank you again for helping me throughout this entire situation. You knew better than anyone how much this situation affected the both of us, and I can't express how much your support meant and continues to mean to me. I know he yelled and screamed extensively at both of us. You didn't deserve that, and I didn't either, but I'm still sorry that this hurt you too. I just want to give a quick trigger warning here for the mention of suicide and suicidal intention. After the car was back in my possession.
Okay, moderators, suicide and suicide intention trigger warnings in chat. Thank you.
On the 29th of July, Oz and I received numerous messages from Wonder, which will be available in the Google Drive. What I specifically would like to highlight is that he insinuates that he had intention to and was taking action to arm himself to end his life. In a message directly with me, he explicitly told me that, quote, I was legit trying to get into my dad's gun cabinet to fucking kill myself. Either way, out of concern.
One sec, we have Twiggy who just said having a salary job in general as an editor is a blessing. Yes, because the reality is that most of us are paying editors as well as, you know, researchers, producers, and all that kind of stuff. We're paying them, like, usually, unless you're a huge YouTuber, maybe like Ethan Klein or something like that, usually you're getting paid as a freelancer, you know, which means that also you don't have any of the stipulations on terms such as like wrongful termination. Like, if I was to terminate somebody on a salaried job without any reasonable cause to say why they were being terminated, then I could be taken to the tribunal. I don't know what the situation is in America or if it differs state to state on how you can just like fire or sack somebody, but in the UK the rules are very, very clear. If you are being hired on a freelance basis or as a sole trader is what we tend to call it over here in the UK, if you are being paid on that basis, then obviously in the UK there are no rules when it comes to like wrongful termination. But when you are salaried in the UK, if you are terminated incorrectly, you get into so much trouble. Like, the business will get into so much trouble. Hence why it's very difficult to quote unquote sack people within the UK. So I don't know if it like changes in the US, but the idea of being salaried just provides an extra level of comfort that I've not really seen that much of in YouTube.
I called the Austin Police Department non-emergency line to ask for a wellness check. And when I explained to the operator what was the situation at hand, they immediately transferred me.
One sec, it says, I doubt you could even think of this, but I was so stressed out that day and trying to figure out how to meet my deadline so you didn't view me as a whack worked that I thought I was going to fail. After everything, being treated like your emotional punching bag and letting you just purposely not tell me things so that you could have a reason to be mad, ruining my finances, everything. Ruining my finances. I had enough. It was legit trying to get into my dad's gun cabinet to fucking kill myself, excuse my language, because of the stress of all of it. And knowing that mistake, I couldn't control what was probably a result in even more pettiness from a near 1 mil sub was just too much. Thankfully, my therapist called me whilst I was trying to ... So I guess she called the police to try and deal with this situation.
Me to the 911 dispatcher. I then read the messages to them, and I gave the 911 operator the last known place of his residence in Texas, which was his dad's house, to perform a wellness check. The operator then told me not to arrange anything unless the police force is present. In his messages, Wonder states that he received a call from his therapist, which ultimately pulled him out of his intended plan. And let's take a moment to discuss the therapist. During his time in Colorado, he expressed that he wanted to seek therapy, and I think that's a fantastic decision. To help him with this process, I messaged my old therapist, who I did a lot of EMDR therapy with and helped me immensely. On screen is me reaching out to her to see if she was accepting any new clients. Confidential details are going to be censored in order to keep Wonder's privacy and integrity. Looking back, I probably shouldn't have recommended a therapist who was so life-changing for me to somebody else. Therapy is a continual journey. You can come in and out as needed. And unfortunately, after I recommended Wonder to this therapist, there began a conflict of interest, and I could no longer in good conscience see her for her services. Wonder, I am so incredibly sorry that I unintentionally created a conflict of interest between the two of us in regards to this therapist. I did not mean to make that an issue between us at all. When Wonder arrived in Colorado, to say he packed lightly would be
Right, so what I'm gathering from that last bit is that she had basically told him to go to her therapist that had been life-changing for her, and because that therapist was probably dealing with his grievances with her, that became a bit of a conflict of interest. Right, I'm following.
A bit of an understatement. He arrived with barely any clothing, no food for his dog, not even a collar for his dog, just a bandana. As Wonder mentions on Twitter, that short amount of time we lived together was absolutely a nightmare. The tension began with our dogs and his unwillingness to help ease the situation between our pets. I did everything I thought of at the time to introduce James and Casper in a way that facilitated a good relationship between the dogs. They met on neutral ground at a dog park and only had supervised play at the house. Wonder
Okay, so we have Twiggy who just said Blair didn't do anything wrong, but made mistakes that are very human, which she also admitted to and apologized for. We have Yasmin who says, why is she doing this? It's not normal. It's because a lot of people have come out and said a lot of stuff, I guess, as an assassination of her character, and she feels like she has to kind of air everything out. JT Rune just says, Blair did use this video to vent and step back. I think it's kind of a soul pour out. Yeah, I can understand the idea of like emotionally dumping on your audience, because I'm like, even me, watching this as somebody who doesn't really watch Illuminati, I'm sitting here thinking this is a lot to take in. Bloopers just says, you lost your therapist over generosity. I just think it was not necessarily generosity, but just not thinking of, the potential for the grievances that this person have. Being you know what I mean? We have Mr. Vern who says, I don't know, y'all, feels weirdly overbearing. Very much that. Let's scroll down to the bottom. We have TLH Laughs who says, yeah, it seems pretty odd decision recommending your therapist to somebody else. Honestly, that's like giving your boyfriend to somebody else. It's not really smart. I mean, I understand like her idea behind it, like, hey, I know a therapist, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody goes to you and they've got like a car repair and you've gone to somebody who's like really cheap, you can go, hey, I've got this car repair guy. You don't really see as a conflict of interest, so I can understand like the idea behind it. But yeah, Chab says, why are you telling us all of this? We've already gone over that, so let's carry on.
Did not want to facilitate the dog play, so this really only happened under mine and Oz's supervision. And when both myself and Oz would leave the house and Wonder would stay home, he has multiple times locked Casper away in an empty room while James got free roam over the entire house. I don't want to claim that I'm any sort of dog specialist, but I do know that James was the new dog in this house that Casper had already been living in. And dogs are territorial by nature, that this was Casper's house and now suddenly he was being locked away. Additionally, James had multiple accidents in the home and Wonder would not clean them. It was Oz who ended up taking on that responsibility.
Okay, so we got a text message here. It says, okay, thank you. Then on June 26, 2021, it says, okay, it's a good thing we are meeting at the warehouse in 11:30 today because, one, I think Casper might be coming with us. Two, James shit all over our staircase and the basement, and Blank is the one having to clean it up right now. I'm going to help Dad. And 3, we have a buttload of waxes in yesterday and I wanted to bring those to our warehouse. And 4, 5 or whatever on this list, yada yada yada. Okay, so this is her basically stating her grievances with the dog pooping.
During Wonder's stay in Colorado, his actions and inactions regarding the care of his dog James were a main cause of tension in the house. Not only did it seem like James was receiving inadequate care due to the lack of identification with a collar, lack of food, lack of toys, and more, but Wonder was unwilling to do his part as a pet owner to keep the peace between the dogs too. Wonder's lack of responsibility led to multiple incidents in addition to what I've previously mentioned. Firstly, James bit Casper, and bit his ear so hard that Casper bled. At this point, I took Casper to live with my sister as I no longer felt comfortable having Casper alone in the house with Wonder and James. I reached out to my good friend who's also a dog trainer to see if he could help me with the situation. The second incident occurred on June 24th, 2021. On the night of the 23rd, Oz and Wonder went out together. I was exhausted, and so before they both left, I let them know that I was going to bed, which is exactly what I did. I was woken up at 2:30 in the morning by Oz because Wonder was panicking because James was gone. Wonder admitted that he took James outside to go potty, then having forgotten he had done so, he left James outside while Wonder left the house with Oz. That means that he left his own dog outside unsupervised for hours on end in the middle of the night. If I was aware that James was outside unsupervised, I would have done everything to ensure his safety and brought him back inside. There was unfortunately nothing I could do as I was already downstairs in my room sleeping by the time this was all unfolding. When I was woken up by Oz, I got on the Nextdoor app and I immediately made a post to try and locate James. Got a response around 10 a.m. the next day with a call from someone who had thankfully located James. The only evidence I have of this series of events is photos of James that Wonder sent to me at 3:05 in the morning on June 24th because I needed some photos to post on Nextdoor. As for the photo that Wonder posted claiming that I live in a hoarder home, I want to clarify that.
I'm guessing, so I don't know what Nextdoor is. I'm British, so I don't know if we have this over here, but Nextdoor is like, I guess, like a community thing that you guys can like post to alert each other of things going on in the neighborhood. Forgive me if I'm wrong. We have Risk who just says, it's like that's just somebody else. Nichols is back just says, exactly, these are just random strangers getting frantically entwined. What do you mean by that? I don't know what part of the video you're in. The Epic Hero says, I also wonder if she's the type of person who just goes all in and can be a good thing or lead to a lack of boundaries. Oh, that is a very good point. I know people who will literally, as soon as they meet somebody, just give them their all. And it's like, You don't know this person, you don't know their loyalty, you don't know them enough to be able to give them everything. So yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. Maybe that could be the case. I don't know.
As previously stated, Oz and I had only started moving into the home around mid-April 2021. I still had my room from a shared lease with multiple roommates until June 1st. During Wonder's stay, I was still in the process of moving in and unpacking. Furthermore, the photo he shows is a photo of a room that wasn't lived in by anyone in the house, and it was being used as a temporary storage and unpacking site while everyone was moving in. To further exemplify this, I would like to show you some photos I have of Casper in my room from that same time. And I would like to highlight a couple things, which I feel this is very nitpicky, but because this was brought up in such a manner, I feel that this is kind of the way to dispel this. And again, normally I wouldn't point out small things like this, but I really feel as I need to. You go ahead and look at the sheets on the bed. It's not the same ones as the one that are on the floor in the photo he took. At the time, Colorado was still very cold in April, and I had a full goose down comforter on the bed. And as you can see with photos of literally Casper's Instagram with the tagged dates on it below as well, you can see that my bed also, albeit a bit gaudy, has a silver headboard with little little crystals and mirrors and silver tufting. I feel the need to point out these minor details since the out of context photos of the house being moved into are being used as a way to show that I'm a supposed monster and that, quote, my home is a mess, like hoarders bad. And just, what was the point of this, Wonder? Why would you even bother posting something like this except to humiliate me? This was a room that we told you we were using to move, and we let you know it was off limits to you. That photo alone shows your consistent lack of respect for Oz's and my boundaries. And Wonder, I am sorry that I was ever friends with you. My short involvement in your life clearly caused you so much harm and emotional distress, and I never want that for any of my friends, past or present. And for that, I again want to apologize. I hope.
That was okay, girl, that was a passive-aggressive apology. Because oh my god, I just snorted on myself. That is a passive-aggressive apology. That was not not an apology. That felt like I did all of this stuff for you and you saw it as so bad. So for that, I am sorry. That was so fucking passive-aggressive. If there's one thing about us bitches, we will be passive-aggressive.
Hope you find peace. This final section and this final person will be the hardest for me to address, so I plan on keeping this brief. Oz, you were right.
Okay, so this is Oz Media. This is the dude who lived with her, right? So she clearly feels some kind of way about this particular person coming forward with the hordes of individuals who had something negative to say about their encounter with Blair. This is the dude who gave the most validity to everybody else's claims. So this is what she had to say to Oz.
I am afraid of looking stupid and weak online, and yet I am those things right now. You've been with me through a lot of really intense and personal situations in my life. You were there throughout the entire process of my mom's cancer diagnosis, her various treatments, and hospitalizations. And I know there were many times when I had to run out the door suddenly because there was a crash cart in her room and they didn't know if she was going to make it. And you said you'd stay at the house and watch Casper so I could go to my mom. You were there for Casper's various hospitalizations when he would get sick throughout the years, and you helped me through a very difficult surgery recovery. I just want to say thank you for always being my support through all of my ups and downs. I know that a lot of these personal situations in my life left me...
I can't help but feel like sad about this. Man, I'm an emotional bitch. Like this for me is just like so sad. For me personally, and I don't know if anyone else can agree with me, and let me know if you agree in chat, losing a friend for me is way harder than losing like a boyfriend or girlfriend or long-term partner. For real. I've lost long-term partners, I've lost boyfriends, I've lost girlfriends, I've lost significant others. But for me, losing a friend hurts so much more. I can't explain it.
Very thin and sometimes irritable, and I want to say thank you for supporting me through it and talking me through some really hard times. Your support and your friendship meant more to me than I think you'll probably ever know. I'm gonna miss all the fun things we used to do, eating way too much cheese at the melting pot. I'll miss you teaching me how to play Command and Conquer and playing it, and how you've always obviously been Casper's BFF, and you know how Casper is not afraid of Oswaldo. We're both gonna miss you a lot. The truth is, like we've privately discussed before, I always hoped that we'd be able to reconnect again in the future and mend our friendship. I meant that when I said it to you, and I believed you when you said it back. Even after everything that's happened, you were the one person that I always thought we could just get it and pick back up where we left. And unfortunately, I think that ship has sailed. Oz, I miss the friend you were to me, but I think this makes it clear that we finally need to cut all ties. So, to finish out this very difficult video for me, I want to once again just say, I take accountability for my actions. There are absolutely some stupid and dumb things that I did, and sometimes I do react a bit impulsively, and that does tend to backfire on me. I am disappointed in my behavior, and I hope that I can learn from all of this. I want to own up to my faults and take responsibility for my actions. Furthermore, I want to take responsibility for my own involvement with a crowd I am happy to no longer associate with. I did make bad decisions, I made bad friends,
Okay, so this part is where I believe that she's talking about the likes of Tommy C and, the commentary bro community, tipster, etc. She's saying that she apologizes for even being associated with that crowd at one point. So I guess she briefly addressed that.
And there will forever be a bad taste in my mouth regarding some of the individuals I've spoken about today. But finally, I want to apologize to my audience. I owe you better than this, and you deserve more from me. I let you down, and I am sorry. I hope that in time you can see that I mean everything that I've said here today, and I am so excited to be able to prove you right.
So that is the end of the Illuminaughti video. So, question to chat. What are your thoughts? I want to read out some of your thoughts and opinions on this before we close out today's video. What are your thoughts of the Illuminaughti situation? Something that started out, for me at least, as like a nothing burger that turned into a bunch of people having the space to air and vent their grievances. What I will say from my personal perspective is that there is absolutely nothing wrong with any of these individuals coming forward and speaking their piece and talking about how they feel when it comes to the Illuminaughti situation. They've had their encounters, and as we know, there is always like one side, the other side, and then there's the truth, so we will never know. But the point that I wanted to make with today's video is that I had a particular comment on my Twitter where there was several different people who were very upset with me for not acknowledging all of these other parts to the story, because I was focused on the Legal Eagle situation where she handled it. She spoke to him privately and then made a public apology, which again, I will say was for you guys, was for the audience. It wasn't for him because he had accepted that apology and people still saw it as not enough. I personally believe, and this is separating all of the other grievances, I personally believe that the reason that we have a situation where influencers, people of influence, people of prominence, persons of interest not taking accountability for negative behaviors, whether that be morally or, in any other capacity, is purely because we have made it so hard for people to give apologies that are appropriate. The apology is that she gave to Legal Eagle was appropriate for him. He accepted that. The apology is that she gave to everybody else to show that she had appropriately apologized to Legal Eagle and that he accepted it was still not enough to everybody else. People such as Nicholas Diorio, which I've already addressed today, dude, but people such as Nicholas Diorio were saying it's not a proper apology, it wasn't enough, and I'm just like, this apology was not for you. We need to, I feel, as a community, get out of the mindset that anybody owes us anything. We are onlookers to a spectacle. The spectacle that derived from Illuminati acting crazy out here in these streets, but we are still just onlookers. We don't know the situation. People are making sweeping judgments on this person's character based on what other people have said as he said, she said. The only person in this whole entire situation who has been able to provide an ounce of proof at this point, subject to change, I'm going to let this be known now as it stands at 1:09 a.m. on the 29th of the 4th, 2023. As of now, the only person who's been able to provide a slight amount of receipts is Illuminaughti. Nobody else has been able to provide any kind of receipts to back up their claims. I hear there's going to be videos made. We will see if these videos do in fact get made. But as it stands right now, from my perspective, we as the audience don't know anything. We can only assume, we can only speculate, but we truly don't know anything. If you don't like Illuminaughti because she has been bad when it comes to referencing her resources, if she has been bad when it comes to spreading misinformation about different stories, that is valid. That is where you should say, well, this is why I don't like this person, but keep it specific to that, because when we're sitting there judging the morality of individuals in relationships that we are not a part of, that's where things become a little bit messy, in my humble opinion. I understand that there are people within the commentary bro community who have had previous instances with her. For instance, I wanted to touch on this evening and I didn't get a chance to, the Cruel World Happy Mind video. It was the second video that was made because the first video has been deleted. I can't find that anywhere. But the second video, which was made by Cruel World Happy Mind as a follow-up to her situation with Illuminaughti. I understand that there are people within the community who have an issue with her. But when we are speaking about specific situations, in my humble opinion, we should keep it specific to that situation. I could sit here all day and talk about, you guys know my history with Jackiana, how I think she's a bitch, and she's a this, and she's done that, and I don't think she's a good person, and blah, 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 blah. But we also have to remember, because of my history with that content creator, my bias is going to be extremely strong. So the way that I view her is going to be completely different. So when we are looking at the people to listen to in these situations, also take into account that there are some people who have, you know, emotionally charged feelings towards her. And that's okay, but let's keep it 100. You know, for me, spearheading, telling people to go ahead and make videos and ask for accountability and force that hand, for me, is emotionally charged. And for a community like the commentary bros who like to pretend that the only emotionally charged individuals within that community are women, it sounds very emotional. I'm just going to keep it 100. So that's what I think about the situation. But let's take it to what you guys think in the comment section, and then we will end today's video. Okay, so we got that Amber chick that says, I'm not a person to judge anyone's morality. I'm pretty immoral myself at times. Do you know what? Congratulations. Like, for real, for just even being honest, because sometimes we're all dicks. I know I can be a dick. The whole thing sucks for all parties involved, 100%. Risk says the illegal eagle thing was pretty petty and weird. It was definitely petty. Gali says, I love your headset, by the way. Thank you so much. Twiggy says, Twitter threads, no proof, under thought out videos with responses with proof. Agreed. We also have Lydia, who says, this is such a messy drama. It should have been handled privately, but the snowball got bigger, it seems. I like Cruel World too. I like Cruel World. She seems really cute. She's very pretty. Oh my god, she's such a pretty girl. Nicholas says, manipulation is not something that we can weed out as easily as people would like to think. 100%, but until we can see tangible proof of manipulation, emotionally manipulative tactics, and all of these other things that people are expressing took place, we can't say that that happened. We just can't. You know what I mean? We can't prove that it was the case, and we can't prove that it wasn't the case. All we can do is just listen to the people. But people want to make sweeping judgments on other people's integrity, their character, and I just don't think that's fair. And I wouldn't like it if it was me either. Let's continue. We have Joshua, who says, it's better to be unbiased and look at things with nuance, 100%. Lyra Hobbs says, I wish I could stay, but it's 2 a.m. and I have to leave, and this is overwhelming. I really agree. Thank you. Thank you for staying. We also have Laura, who says, I still want receipts of the worst claims that she has had against others. This video was manipulative, passive-aggressive. I do agree there were parts were passive-aggressive. A guilt trip, I do believe that it was definitely trauma dumping. And she's hurt, and I get it, but still. Yeah, I agree. I agree with some of it. I don't think that it was manipulative. I'm not getting manipulation, but I definitely get passive aggressive and trauma dumping, because there's parts of these conversations that really was not necessary for us to hear as an audience. But with that being said, she has addressed pretty much almost everything, if not everything at this point. So I don't know what else it is that she can do to alleviate the situation for herself personally, besides continue to create content and move on. But it is clear, as I've showed with the Truth Sleuth video, as well as the Tom Dark video, that this seems to have been some kind of long-standing issue that people have had with Illuminaughti. And if there is anything that you can do as a content creator to be retrospective, is to work out who the common denominator is. And let's keep it all the way 100. You cannot be the victim in every situation. It is impossible to constantly be the victim. So in this case, I believe that there is a common denominator. So Illuminaughti being the crux of so much negativity that seems to be surrounding her isn't just a fluke. There is a common denominator there that needs to be addressed. but that's a personal thing that she needs to move through as an individual, in my humble opinion. With that being said, if you guys haven't subscribed or followed my Twitch, definitely go and check that out. Go to twitch.tv/PaigeChristieUK. You can find me there. I stream 2 nights a week. This was just a random stream for you guys. If you guys want to watch this video again in your own time, please make sure to go over to my Twitch and subscribe, because it will be available to Twitch viewers only. With that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing day or evening, whatever the hell it is you're doing. I've really enjoyed spending time with you, even though I'm so sick. And until next time, you beautiful, amazing, badass bitches. It's been Paige. Bye!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we don't need your accolades. Hopping over barricades. Bonus, we are not afraid. We know we gon' elevate. 2-3 with the fadeaway. Shot to Woody when I spray. Daddy hit me when I break. I know we gon' elevate. Brother gonna rise, no hesitation. Put it on my time, been hella patient. Spitting these rhymes in hella basements. Play major stages, still pay fun. Ain't made many wages, still I can't run. I'm a slave to the cadence, still ain't done. Everything to the patrons, till the day's won. But I'm not finished, I know I got some critics. I know they're really cynics, but God, I got no limits. I want a house of business, even if I don't get it. Then I pray these lyrics, elevate your spirit. And if I don't live it, after years and minutes of avoiding gimmicks, I'm pouring out my heart. That I know my rhythms didn't reach the millions, but I praise my Lord that I could be a part. I ain't did this for no trophies, I ain't did this for no list. I did it for the kid who's contemplating taking place to rest in. Man, I pray that you resist. Oh, you were made for more than this. You can make it through the storm, just turn to him and